The spectacular views of the desert in Glendale, Arizona. It's Cactus League Baseball midweek as the Sox take on the National League West's San Diego Padres. We're not far away from the minor league affiliates for the Sox and not far away from day one of the season as well. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. And if you could only take those runs with you to Chicago or Kansas City, wherever it might be, the Sox offense has been gangbusters the last couple days.
If you like your baseball offensive, you should have been here the last 2 days because the Sox kept pounding away. The interesting part is they didn't hit the ball out of the ballpark except one time. But take a look at some swings. Look at the offense. A couple of days ago against the Diamondbacks, the offense was red hot. Moncada hitting the ball all over. Same thing with Adam Engel. Avi Garcia taking it to right center. This is something to see. Take a look at 15 and 10. 25 runs, 40 hits, 7 doubles, only the 1 home run. They're not walking a lot because down here you want to swing the bat to get the at-bats in. But when you look at those offensive numbers and realize, factor in Lucas Giolito yesterday and that performance, it was magnificent.
If, by the way, in the offseason you heard some cheering coming from the Midwest, a couple of cities in our region, it was the American League Central excited that Eric Hosmer is gone.
Eric Hosmer did a whole lot of damage against our Sox over the course of the years. Plus, as a defender, he saved the infield many errors. So he had this annoying habit of coming up and hitting the ball out of the park against our Sox, and a lot of times he hit it late. So now that Hosmer has signed a long-term deal with San Diego, the place we will see him is in the World Series in a couple of years because they're getting better. We're going to be infinitely better, and that's one of the reasons why Hosmer in San Diego is a good thing. Take a look at the home runs, 18. He's driven in 66 against our Sox in 124 games. And fireworks, that's exactly what it's going to be for a long time in San Diego.
That's directly from the Chris Kamka pun department. By the way, worth mentioning, bottom of the lineup for the Sox today includes one of the hot prospects, Blake Rutherford, the outfielder, Gavin Sheets, one of the draft picks from last year.
I think the fact that the bottom of the lineup, as we've seen this spring, has some thunder in it, and it has a lot of speed in it. So we'll see how it shakes out during the season, but so far in spring training, and we're winding down, the bottom of the order has been very productive. Hopefully the boys keep it up.
We'll see how it goes today. The Padres and the Sox, one of the final games in spring training 2018. Get your programs here. First pitch with lineups just around the corner. Hey folks, thanks for joining us for more White Sox baseball. Third game in a row right here on NBC Sports Chicago. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. And Ricky Renteria's guys, Don Cooper's guys. Todd Steverson's guys and all your guys are getting ready to take the field behind Reynaldo Lopez, making the start today, his 5th appearance of the spring, and this starting lineup will face him for the San Diego Padres of Andy Green, maybe an up-and-coming club in the National League. Freddie Galvis at the top has had a nice spring. Will Myers, one of the stars of this team. Then Hosmer, who we told you about. Hunter Renfro's in right. Chase Headley over at third. Spangenberg, Caesar, and A.J. Ellis in a battle for that second catcher spot. Luis Perdomo will bat. Sox get the DH. Padres have their choice. They let the pitcher hit.
Let's take a look at the defense and how Ricky Renteria is going to put him out there today. Craig Didolo in left field with Ryan Cordell, who's having a terrific spring. Big impression he is making here. Blake Rutherford, one of the hot prospects in the organization, in right. Then it's Davidson, Saladino, Elmore, and Sheets in the infield with Wellington Castillo once again behind the plate. And Reynaldo Lopez on the hill, a product of that big trade with the Nationals that brought over Giolito, Dunning, and the man you're looking at on the mound. Look at the numbers so far this year, throwing the ball pretty well. A few more walks than he would like in 13 2/3, but he'll figure it out, and I'm pretty sure that his stuff is good enough to play in a major league rotation, and fortunately he is in this one.
We've had lineup changes galore for this game.
Umpire changes, lineup changes, and you know, it is spring training, because the good thing is we write our lineups, at least what we both do, we write it in pen. And so by the 4th time they change the lineup, all of a sudden all I have is scratch outs up and down. And right now, who's on first?
Well, look, there has been an umpire change as we get you set for this game. If this were a July 30th game, right now, we would think 6 trades have been made, including an umpire. But that's not the case. So Lopez for his pitch strike, and off we go. 5th appearance for Lopez. Last we saw him was against the Cubs. He went 4 1/3, gave up the 4 earned runs. 4 of his 5 earned runs all spring.
You have to love the temperature here. It's summer resort weather, 76 degrees, just a beautiful day. Wind, no factor whatsoever.
Ball and 2 strikes on Freddie Galvis, who came over from the to the Padres from the Phillies organization and played every game last year.
Pretty amazing. They had 2 of them, Hosmer and Galvis. There's only 5 in the major leagues. The Padres now have 2 in their starting lineup, and nothing makes a manager happier than knowing every day he can write out the lineup and the same guy is going to be in the same position.
We've got guests coming up in the booth and down in the dugout during this game. Certainly we'll have a lot of insight from the White Sox, including Chris Getz, who will be here in the bottom of the 1st inning, the director of player development for the Sox, to tell us about some of the young guys in this lineup today.
Number 4, Will Myers.
Ryan Cordell was supposed to be in left field. He's moved to center field. Leori Garcia was originally the center fielder. Then Adam Engel was in. Adam was scratched from the lineup. Ryan Cordell goes into center field, and then Craig Didolo is in left. Strike number 1 to Will Myers. No batting gloves, one of the trademarks of Will Myers.
Been that way from the beginning, and normally if San Diego is your home park, and he was also at Tampa Bay, he was also at Kansas City. Kansas City, you might need some batting gloves, but that's personal preference. I mean, some hitters just don't feel good with them. They can't feel the bat. Other hitters would never be able to hit without them.
On the ground at third, and Matt Davidson for out number 2. And here's the guy we told you about off the top. The recent signee by the Padres, Eric Hosmer, out of the American League Central. And he will bat against the Sox for one of the final times this season.
Everybody looks at the numbers offensively from Eric Hosmer. He's a good hitter, got big power to left center field. And I'm sure they realize, obviously, because they signed him long term, he will save their infield maybe 15 to 20 errors this year. He's that good, digging the ball out of the dirt. Wonderful on pop-ups in foul territory. Just a good, solid player, has been for a long time.
And from everything we heard from Royals people, great clubhouse presence as well.
He was one of the leaders on that Royal team for a long time. And from a Sox perspective, although Moustakas is back at third for 1 year, losing Hosmer long term, you don't mind him going to San Diego. The best thing could happen, perhaps, because they might run into one another sometime along. If he had signed with Nome Alaska would be good.
He just plays summer ball. Is that what you're saying?
No, winter ball is really good. It's very big in Nome. People don't know that. You know, the fences are 80 feet away. The ball doesn't travel quite as well, but, you know, it's a really good place to pitch.
Kodiak every once in a while gets in your way. A lot of inside-the-house home runs in Alaska in the winter. But how many first innings did we have the last couple of years with 2 out, nobody on? Then Hosmer flips the ball to left field, and then suddenly the Royals have a rally, and oh, it's his fault, and nice to see him somewhere else. Although he's on with 2 out here in the first inning. If you're starting to shiver or something at home, it'll be over soon. Hunter Renfroe, the batter, powerful right fielder for the Padres. San Diego's an interesting team. They were full of Rule 5 guys last year. When they were in Chicago in May, you looked and you said, my goodness, who are some of these guys? Even if you follow Major League Baseball closely, they had the one Rule 5 pick who had played only in A-ball previously. And now it seems like something's kind of building. Renfroe had a great season last year with the 26 homers, and there's some momentum for San Diego.
Well, they believe, just like we believe, that their minor league system is one of the best in baseball, and they know that the future is not this year for this ball club. You know, they tell you the future is now. Well, the future is not now for either of these teams. Very similar in the fact that stacked minor league systems. And you can put Atlanta in there, and it's usually 1, 2, 3 either way. Atlanta has some very good players. But the Padres, by almost acclamation, are one of the top prospect development teams around.
1 and 2, Renfroe out in front. Hosmer at first, 2 down, first inning. You're talking about Atlanta and San Diego and the Sox being in the top 3. This is according to MLB.com, and those top 3 stick.
There you see where they are, and everybody has a different idea of the order, but the Rays, the Phillies, the Yankees, the A's, a very interesting team this year are those Oaklands, and then the Reds, Blue Jays, and Dodgers.
We'll be in Oakland very early, an April trip to the Coliseum.
Yes, we will. You know, I'm not sure about the umpires around because they did move around, they changes, but I will say that looking down on the field and looking at third base, to a man the size of Red Kerr, for all of you Bulls basketball folk, it has to be Jordan Baker. He's a very large man, distinctively larger than any umpire in the world. He has that distinction. And there he is.
Have you done empirical research on that?
Just research. Empirical, I draw the line.
Yeah, wouldn't want it to be sound in any way. Hosmer is off, and there's ball 4. Lopez 2 walks in the first inning, and Chase Headley will bat. Headley's made it back to the National League after a stint with the Yankees, playing third for the Padres. See Saladino up the middle. The shift is on for Headley to his pull side as Lopez misses again high on a fastball, and here comes Wellington Castillo.
And a cast of thousands. Everybody going to the mound to try to straighten this out.
See anything mechanically?
No, just got a new car, so no mechanical problems whatsoever. There's Don Cooper, who's interested in the fact that all of a sudden throwing real well the first two, only to lose to the second two again. Once a young pitcher loses his focus, it's tough to pull it back. The guys who you see take the next step learn how to pull it back, now make some good pitches. Let's see if Ronaldo can do that.
2 balls, no strikes on Headley for Lopez. And, you know, you think about guys like Lopez and Giolito at the end of the season. They were in the rotation. So you kind of, I think, inflate how many starts they have in the majors. Lopez, 8 starts with the Sox in his time last year.
More times than not, when a right-hand pitcher misses high and away, that one was up and in, but when you miss high away to a left-hand hitter, it means that you're opening the front shoulder, the arm can't catch up, you can't really throw a strike, and when you do, it's going to be up in the strike zone or well up and away. So if you don't close that front shoulder, you have some big problems. And there's an exact example of what we were talking about. He misses high away to load him up after 3 straight walks.
So Hosmer, Renfroe, and Headley all walk. And Corey Spangenberg, the batter. This is not the guy you'd like to have up in this situation, simply because every at-bat matters for Spangenberg here this spring, considering his battle with Carlos Asuaje for the second base spot for San Diego.
He had a good year last year. Hit 264 for a ball club that was not loaded by any means. 13-46 on the power numbers. Struck out a little bit too much, but he's got big speed. Stole 20 bags.
Same spot. A little bit closer, but still a ball.
Of course, the fans in the stands want the umpire to call strikes. However, they'd like to keep the ball in the zone.
Arm side every time, Steve.
And high and away. Again. And here comes Don Cooper. And what I was always told about that, there was 2 things that guaranteed you were going to stay close. One was, and this came from Jim Palmer, who, as you know, is a Hall of Famer, all-around good guy, great broadcaster with Baltimore. And you know, he knows more about pitching than anybody I know. I mean, with Don Cooper knows a lot about pitching. Palmer's really wonderful at breaking things down. And he said what he tried to do when the same thing happened to him that's happening to Lopez, he tried to touch his chin with his left shoulder. You know, both being right-hand pitchers. He said you're not going to be able to do it, but the thought process will keep you close. Also, the other philosophy is try to show the hitter your number. Again, you're not going to be able to do it by showing him your number. That means that you're staying close. It's the only way you can deliver each. So one of those things will work for everybody.
Another ball. You're saying essentially go as far as you can. You're never going to get to the extreme, but if you aim for the extreme, you'll draw it back to the middle where you need to.
If you think about it, you'll stay closed. If you stay closed, you won't miss high and away because your arm will be able to catch up as your body clears. You know, a lot of guys who don't throw across their body, you still have to clear your hips. And the fans now giving a derisive cheer as one is in the zone.
3 straight walks and a 3-0 count to Spangenberg. But again, that ball was still in roughly the same quadrant. It just had enough of the zone. Came closer in that time. 3-2 on Spangenberg.
By the way, is it too early to mention the St. Louis-Miami game being played in Florida, or you want to hold off on that for the out-of-town scoreboard like the last 4 innings?
Well, I've been waiting with bated breath.
Lord knows.
Yeah.
Nobody, I'm right here.
Grapefruit League baseball tops my list of things that I'd like to go and discuss today. I have it right on my notepad. 3-2. In the air, Lopez is going to get out of this thing after 3 walks and a 3-0 count. Didolo the catch. And farewell, top 1. Chris Getz scheduled to join us in the bottom of the 1st.
hands go here.
Is here, but first the Sox lineup we're going to talk to him about a little bit. Ryan Cordell at the top, then Saladino, Davidson, and Skoll. Wellington Castillo is the catcher, and some younger guys at the bottom of the lineup: Didolo, Sheets, Elmore, and Rutherford. Elmore, the journeyman of that group.
We'll take a look at the defense, and now Andy Green is going to throw them out there with Myers, Caesar, and Renfro in the outfield. Headley, Galvis, Spangenberg, and Hosmer in the infield. A.J. Ellis, you might remember him from the Dodgers, and Luis Perdomo taking the mound. You look at what he's done this spring, worked out of the pen, starting and trying to make an impression. Right now, things don't look quite as good as they will. He's trying to finish it off with a flourish this spring.
And he'll face Ryan Cordell first, and we are joined by Chris Getz, the Sox Director of Player Development, here in the booth. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you stopping by.
What's going on, guys?
Not a lot. We're watching some of your young talent today, but what's your overall impression of how much you've gotten to see and who's stood out this spring for you?
Well, spring training, right from the start, guys were really excited to get here, and they've continued to progress and certainly ready to go. We're at that point in spring where they're ready for their first real game, let's be honest. But a lot of guys are showing well. Fortunately, we've gotten a lot of young players over here to get some experience on the major league side, and we've got a few starting today.
When you talk about player development, which you're involved in, and I know you came over from Kansas City and you had some wonderful people to work with over there, which really set you up to come here to the White Sox, where you played, quite obviously. What's the most important thing for development with a young player with enormous amount of talent? What does he have to do to take that step forward, either intellectually or emotionally?
Well, for one, I mean, when you acquire a player, you got to trust your scouts, and you got to be very patient. You know, you come with the evaluations, and a lot of these players are high ceiling players. They've been scouted for years. When they get handed off to us, we have to really believe in those scouting reports, and then obviously when we get our hands on the player, more times than not, the tools are there. It's a process. You know, the minor leagues, obviously from rookie ball up to the big leagues, the talent, the competition gets better and better. The game dictates a lot, but really these players, you're exposed to so much in professional baseball, 140 game seasons. That is a challenge in itself. You're playing against competition that you've never played against before. But we've got a great staff at the minor league level to educate them in so many different areas, on the field, off the field, just help these guys grow from players and people.
We have a lot of players in our organization, top to bottom, that were not born in the United States. They come over with an enormous amount of talent. So when they come here, how difficult is it to assimilate into the lifestyle that they have to learn? I mean, does that actually set their development back until they learn how to do it? And how much better have the White Sox been than a whole lot of other people because of the preponderance of the guys that we brought here from other places?
I mean, it's a great challenge for those guys. We try to do the best we can down at the Dominican Academy. We send a lot of our international players, whether from Venezuela, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Mexico, wherever we sign them through our academy. At our academy, we educate these guys with what they're going to experience over here, whether obviously attacking them from an English standpoint, preparing them for what's ahead of them when they get over here. This year we were fortunate to be able to send some of our American players to our instructional league down in the Dominican, just to not only it's a great experience for our American players, but for our international guys to be around them. The more that they're around with people from this culture, the more comfortable they'll be when they come over here and they can just focus on baseball.
What are we going to see at the bottom of the lineup today? Gavin Sheets, Blake Rutherford especially.
Gavin Sheets, obviously we drafted him last year out of Wake Forest, high round pick.
Go Deeks.
Go Deeks, that's right. I can claim them right now.
That's right.
Gavin Sheets, very smart kid. He's got some power. He's good around the bat, good actions. Very smart kid. He's got he grew up around the game. His father played in the major leagues. He's very mature, very disciplined at the plate. Last year he got off to a good start with us in Kannapolis, and look forward to seeing him compete at Winston-Salem this year, going back to his old stomping ground.
That's right. That's right. Blake Rutherford, on the other hand, you got him from the Yankees last year. What have you seen so far?
Blake's had a very nice spring. Last year, first full season, obviously he was with the Yankees. And certainly that first full season can be a lot for players. Handled it very well over there. We were fortunate to be able to acquire him in the trade. Finished pretty well with us in Kannapolis. Helped us in the playoffs there. Took us to the finals. Had a very good instructional league, and he's looking very good here in spring training. He is he's a advanced hitter for his age. He uses the whole field. He's starting to get a feel for driving the baseball. His hands are in a very good position. He stays in there well against lefties. Plays solid defense. Just a well-rounded ball player who is maturing.
You really have to get him to relax, though. He's not chill enough.
I don't think we need to worry about high anxiety with him.
He is. If you said California kid, there might be a picture of Blake Rutherford.
Yeah, that's fairly accurate.
What about Craig Dietelo? He's in the lineup today. Was a late addition, an Indiana guy from Northwest Indiana, right?
Yes, a Big Ten player. He last year he was in Great Falls, had a great season. Good-sized kid. Once again, he's got a good approach, advanced approach in the plate. Uses the whole field. Solid defender. I'm really excited that he's in the lineup today. Didn't expect it, but this is a great experience. When these guys get exposed to this, it just it helps their development. They just get that much more confidence going into the season, just to be around this type of environment and these types of players. And so it was exciting to see that he got the start today.
Is that one of the reasons why in spring training you bring up a lot of non-roster players? I mean, the minor leaguers are right there, so you don't have to bring them too far for home games. But is it the carrot that says, I know you know about the major leagues, but this is what it looks like, this is what it feels like? Is that one of the reasons why you bring and give guys a chance to get into bat, throw some innings, and say this is what to aspire to?
Certainly that's an element of it. I think it's good for these young players to be exposed to the staff, maybe some players that they're going to be teammates with. But that you put the major leagues on a huge pedestal, sometimes an unrealistic one, so it's good for them to get this exposure.
We got to hit the road, so do you. Enjoy the backfields. Chris, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Chris Getz, Director of Player Development for the Sox. No score.
Back to the kid.
Thanks for rejoining us here at Camelback Ranch. The 2018 Ballpark Pass is on sale now for a limited time only. You can get access to 36 home games in April, May, and September, excluding opening day in the Cubs series, for just $126. The pass will be available through your MLB Ballpark app. Get the app. It's easy. WhiteSox.com/pass. Download the app through the App Store today. We're kind of short on sunshine here at Camelback Ranch.
I was
today.
walking on sunshine just earlier before today, so I don't understand how we could be short on it.
Well, maybe you exhausted it by walking on it. Maybe you're the reason that the sunshine was stamped out.
You know, I know that you are a music aficionado. I know you love plays in Broadway. And, I mean, you know, we talked about it yesterday, and it's a wonderful thing. I like plays also.
Do you remember the musical we were talking about yesterday?
Yeah, Oklahoma. Paint Your Wagon?
Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, dear Evan Hansen, what?
Well, you have to watch and see what the letter is about.
Oh, okay. That is actually a play?
It's a musical, yeah. When there are songs, it's called a musical.
Can I find a musical without singing?
It's called a play.
Oh, great. I told you I love plays.
You were going somewhere, I think, with this. 2-2 on Caesar.
I was going to talk a little bit about movies because I know you like them also, as do I. I go to movies. I don't go during the season, but I do go to movies consistently in the off season.
We'll continue America's longest segue after this fly ball lands. Cordell the catch, and there's out number 1.
So I want to discuss in depth Red Dawn. I think it was a great film. Patrick Swayze, I believe, was in it, and I would like to discuss that with you and get the nuances, because Patrick Swayze, an underrated actor, I mean, for Roadhouse, should have won numerous Academy Awards, a number of things he did. I mean, Dirty Dancing and all those things, and Don't Put Baby in the Corner. So tell us a little bit about Red Dawn, because I know you see everything. Yes. Did you hit the mute button, Jimmy? Jimmy Angio, who, by the way, is going to be a grandfather once again. Congratulations to Jimmy. And apparently he has killed Jason's mic.
This is fun. Ball and a strike. I knew that setup was coming at some point.
Oh,
you
no.
set off some alarm bells earlier. Don't worry. I'll get you back.
I know. It's going to be elder abuse, but, you know, pick on me. I can take it.
Can you? I think you just showed you can't. Ball and 2 strikes. And there is ball 2. One out, nobody out here in the second inning. Chris Getz, by the way.
Very smart young man.
Super knowledgeable. Right. It is amazing how he keeps all the players straight in his mind. I mean, that is as voluminous of knowledge as you have to have. As there's strike 3, Lopez has really righted the ship here in the second inning. 2 down.
All of the guys that inhabit the front office, and there's a lot of them, and they do a very good job with the Sox. All of those guys, they know everybody. You go down there and you talk to them and you ask them about a certain player who seems to be obscure. They'll tell you everything about. They'll tell you the guy's hand position. They'll tell you, well, he has a tendency to open up a little too quickly, or he gets under his slider too much. I mean, it doesn't matter who you mention. It doesn't matter who you talk to. These guys know everybody playing currently all over baseball because they have to, and because if there's a trade to be made, sometimes the throw-in guy is the guy that really becomes successful. And unless you know the guys who are not the stars in various organizations, when you do ask for, you know what, I really like that trade, but could you throw in another guy? You don't mention his name. Could you throw in somebody else, you know, making the trade a little bit more even? And they said, well, we'll give you a list of 5 guys, and maybe at the bottom is the guy you really want because your scouting guys have told you that this is a guy, keep your eye on him down the road. So that throw-in player a lot of times becomes one of the keys to every trade, and without knowing everybody and everything and what they can do, you're just not going to make good trades.
You lose an edge. Yeah. In a sport where the edge is smaller and smaller, Reynaldo Lopez is going to have a 1-2-3 inning.
That's what hustle to first base gets you. On to the next inning.
He's the pitcher. Come on. 1, 2, 3.
He's going to hit during the season.
No score, second inning, and Wellington Castillo is going to lead off. His battery mate from a couple days ago, James Shields, is with us. Hey, James, how you doing?
What's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
How is the spring treating you? And at this point, are you ready for the bell to ring?
Yeah, it's about ready to rock and roll, man. And always the last week of spring training is definitely that time of spring where we're ready to rock and roll.
I saw you playing cards earlier. How do you get through the last week and keep yourself sane?
Yeah, you just keep grinding it out. It's a grind of a season. You got to grind spring training as well as the season. So,
hey, what's this clubhouse like with all the young dudes rolling around there?
Oh man, I mean, considering I'm the grandpa of the clubhouse here, it definitely is enjoyable for me. And but it's been good. These young guys have been great. They work hard, and you know, we got an exciting team. The White Sox fans should be very, very pleased.
When you were a young pitcher, you came up with Tampa Bay, spent some time in Kansas City. You were a young pitcher, and you looked at some of the older pitchers. What did you try to get from them?
You know, I mean, just the experience factor. I mean, just situations in the game, and you know, just experience factors. And I constantly talk to the veterans. You know, and being in Tampa, we didn't have too many veterans on the team. We had a lot of young guys as well. But at the end of the day, you got to just pick their brain as much as possible, and you know, become a unit.
Everyone I talk to says you're not only one of the leaders on the ball club, you're one of the leaders on the pitching staff. And so taking the role of a young pitcher who dominated early to the point you are now where a lot of the youngsters look up to you, how is that for you?
I mean, it's good, man. It's good. I've always embraced that role. I've always embraced the leadership role my whole entire career. So, you know, it's been fun. You know, all these young guys are throwing seeds at me right now. I mean, that's the kind of relationship we have right now. So, but at the end of the day, I mean, I embrace the role, and I love it. And we got a good group of young guys that we all mesh pretty well.
What does Wellington Castillo do for you behind the plate?
Oh, he's been great. Obviously, he's only come in a couple times in spring training, but you know, I'd like for him to hit like that all season long. We'll be just fine. You know? But you know, we've been working together. He's got such a good attitude, man, and a good acquisition of the team. And you know, I'm enjoying throwing to him right now.
James, a lot of our fans don't understand with a starting pitcher going every 5 days, which you've been for many, many years. Tell us about starting with the day after you pitch. What is your plan until you pitch again? Yeah, I mean, it's a big work day. You know, after you're done pitching, I mean, you start your work day, and big work day after. Get some good workout in, get good cardio in, get a little flush in, try to flush out all the lactic acid from the night before. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, you gotta work. You know, all the work is done in between starts. The start is just a game, you know, and you know, we got to get a lot of work in. And you know, day 2 we throw bullpens. Day 3 another workout session. And day 4 is kind of a
hang out and chill day, you know. So, but yeah, we work really hard in between starts.
What does opening day starting mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot. I mean, no matter you know how many times I've done it, you know, every time it means a lot. I mean, it's the start of the season. You know, it's a great honor to be an opening day starter for any ball club, and to be able to lead a young staff like we have right now is a tremendous honor, and I take it with pride.
What's your favorite game you've ever pitched in?
Favorite game? Man, I'd probably say my favorite game was my win in the World Series. I have one win in the World Series. Unfortunately, we didn't win the World Series, but you know, just going to the World Series and pitching in that atmosphere, and as a young kid, you just dream about going to the World Series and doing that, and to be able to accomplish that, it's pretty special.
That came against Philadelphia in 2008, and obviously just a great moment. Looking at your career and looking at 7 times over 500, you're over 500 for a career. You look back, what was the most important thing you learned as you made the transition from a guy with all kinds of potential to a guy with all kinds of performance?
You know, I mean, again, you just grind it out, man, and you know, you only can do what you can do out there, and you know, have success. And my main goal is just winning for my ball club. I mean, that's what I go out there and try to do. You know, every 5 days, I take the rock. I take pride in taking the rock every 5 days, and you know, that's what I've done my whole entire career, man. And you know, it's been a blessing.
Do you know everybody in camp right now?
I don't know all the young guys, that's for sure. We got a lot of minor league guys in here, but yeah, I mean, we know a lot of guys, not too many though.
I don't know how you keep them all straight. Like there are hundreds of guys walking around camp.
Yeah, I'm not too good with the names, but you know.
I think you are. I think you're sandbagging.
We got a little right side of the infield or left side of the infield duo right here. It's nice.
Who we got next year?
This is what kind of team we are right here. We're giving piggyback rides. Let's go.
Wow. That is as cute. That's going to be on the front of the media guide next year. So cute. Wow.
You see how they mess with the grandpa on the team, man?
That's not right. Grandpa's trying to spoil his kids, and that's what you got.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable.
I love it. I love it.
But what do you think about the way this team's come together? I mean, it's a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
You're one of the veterans. What do you think this season's going to bring?
You know, first and foremost, I mean, it's the culture we've created around here. And Ricky starts from Ricky. I mean, he's created an unbelievable culture around here. The way that we play the game of baseball, we're playing it hard. We're running hard down to first every single time. I mean, we're playing the game the right way, and we're having fun doing it. And that's what it's all about. And you know, it's super exciting. I mean, I know, you know, as a White Sox fan, I mean, you got to be pretty stoked about it. But inside the clubhouse, I mean, we're doing everything we can right now, and everything's clicking, and you know, it's going in the right direction. We're having some fun with it.
Do you miss swinging the bat? We got the Padres here. You miss it?
I always miss swinging the bat, man. I always tell people I'm a hitter in a pitcher's body, man.
Is that right?
At least I tell people that. You know, I'm not a very good hitter, but.
Did you have aspirations at any point of being a hitter?
Yeah, I mean, of course, every pitcher does, I would imagine. You know, but yeah, I was a pretty good hitter, you know, when I was in high school. But you know, those days are long gone.
Come on, I bet you could grab a bat and still.
Oh yeah, I'm challenging home run derbies all day. I love it.
What do you do in the dugout in games like this when you're not pitching?
Just hanging out, man. I mean, it's, you know, just watching the game and you know, trying to take something out of it. Really, I mean, you know, watching Lopi out here today, and you know, we really, as starters, we really keep an eye out on each other, even during the game. I mean, we might see something during the game, and we might say something to Lopi or whoever it may be on the mound, and just kind of focusing in on what they're doing and enjoying this game, man.
2010 was an interesting year for you. When you look back, you've made 372 starts. Mm-hmm. Was the only relief appearance you've ever had. Do you remember anything about that?
I do. I actually, it was crazy because we were in Miami, and I ended up throwing a full bullpen, you know, before the game even started, and all of a sudden the 7th and 8th inning comes around, and I told Joe Madden that I'm available if they need me, and eventually the 11th inning came around, and I threw 13 pitches, got out of the inning, and we ended up scoring 5 and got the win.
You obviously liked it enough to never do it again.
Yeah.
So,
hey, I try to get in there as much as I possibly can. They don't let me, man.
Do you have coaching in your blood?
I don't know. You never know. I guess I do, but you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Well, with all the young guys who come onto our telecast and say, hey, James Shields, the leader in there, I've learned so much from James Shields, it would strike me that if you wanted to, that might be available for you.
Yeah, I think I'm not really at that point in my career yet, to even think about
afterward. I'm not trying to put you next to Coop now.
Yeah. No, I mean, you never know. I do know one thing. I'm going to enjoy my family, enjoy my kids when I'm done playing. My kids are getting old, and I'd like to enjoy that first. And who knows what's going to happen in the future, man.
What's your favorite Don Cooper saying?
Moneyball all day. He loves himself some Moneyball, which is a down and away fastball. So
why is it
glove side fastball?
Why is it so important though? We've had two guys say that now. Why is it so important for the folks who don't know?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you can hit that down and away fastball, it's gonna be hard to hit, as a hitter, and that's a tough pitch to hit, and if you can pound that down and away fastball to a righty or inside to a lefty, I mean, it's definitely sets the tone for the rest of the AB.
one of the most difficult things a pitcher can do is throw a power changeup. You had that your whole career. Did you work on that from the beginning?
Yeah. I mean, I developed it when I was younger, and it became a pretty good pitch, man.
I would just say so, yes.
James, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Sorry about all the seeds. James Shields and the piggybacking middle infield. 2 left on for the Sox here in the second. We'll go to the third.
This copyright.
Plan for every fan. Get access to every opponent with a partial ticket package or handpick your games with a 10-game package. Secure your seats for the 2018 season today. For more information, 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. And I've been told today that there still are a few tickets available for opening day. So if you want to grab those, they're still open. whitesox.com, available right now. If you log on, you can get your tickets for opening day coming up in that first homestand at the beginning of April.
#1 starter for these San Diego Padres is a man that our fans are very familiar with, and one of the really great guys in the game. Clayton Richard is their opening day starter. That's terrific. Congratulations for him. Been around a long time now. They believe that Brad Hand, a very talented left-hander, has a chance to be the closer, although at this point it's not definitive. They're looking at matchups, but Brad Hand has exceptional stuff. He'll probably be the guy. Kirby Yates also has very good stuff. So they've got some talent in the pen. The rotation, top to bottom, probably needs a little tweaking, and they will come along when the prospects start to come up to the major leagues. But all in all, an interesting team, a better team than they've been. And so, the two real interesting teams are out in the West. It's San Diego and their minor league system and their players they brought in, and it's Oakland. It's going to be entertaining to see Bob Melvin lead a recently rejuvenated team.
You know, we were talking about the Rangers with a possible 6-man rotation in the West in the American League last year. As you were mentioning, Melvin, they're not going to piggyback their starters, though. Speaking of piggybacks, Yolmer Sanchez and Tim Anderson during the last half inning decided to give each other a piggyback ride while they were talking to James Shields. There it is. Yolmer, Tim, middle infield mates, James Shields, along with.
Yolmer a little under the weather yesterday.
Now he's under the Tim Anderson. To left field it goes, and Will Myers is on with an extra base hit. What a clown show.
They certainly keep it loose.
It's like Mork. Tim's got his binoculars there.
But those are high-powered binoculars.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a good look.
What a mess. These guys are highly entertaining.
Well, you would think that, well, it's spring training, so, you know, they're acting like that, you know, last week or so of spring training. This goes on all year. Yolmer does it all year long.
Who was it we were talking to? Was it just yesterday? We asked somebody, does he ever stop? And the answer was no.
Well, the only time he stops was when he was feeling as badly as he was feeling yesterday.
It was Tim that said that.
Yeah, other than that, he's a very funny guy that keeps everything loose. And there you see the high-powered binoculars. And, of course, the hearing devices for Yolmer, who at his certainly escalating age probably needs a little help.
The old bell-tone cups.
Nice.
For Yolmer. Two strikes on Hosmer. Myers at second with the first hit against Lopez, who got in trouble with those walks in the first inning. Hosmer, Renfroe, Headley in a row, and then got out of it with the fly ball from Spangenberg. Lopez with a throw to second, and they have Myers caught up. He is safe.
You can do it the way that Ronaldo did it, but the best way, when you see a guy hung up, you got the baseball, run right at him, make him commit. Right here, he unloads a little too quickly. And then the throw was not quite on the money, and of course you saw how it ended. But if you run at the base runner when you catch the ball, he will eventually have to commit one way or the other. Then you can have your run down with one throw instead of having a play like that that ends with two throws. It goes to the fielder's choice, but just execution, we get E5, and you know, Ronaldo will figure that one out. That's not a really difficult thing to do, but put the pressure on the runner to show you where he wants to go. It's usually to the next base as far as the last base.
You're essentially shortening his options.
Well, you want to give him no options until he's absolutely forced to, and then when you're running at him, and then the thing is, he'll commit. Then if you're close enough, you take a couple of steps to him. Once he gets his momentum going either way, you get him to move, he gets his momentum going that way, he cannot reverse and go back the other way. So you know you're going to make the out toward the base that he's running to is really the key to that. You'd like to run him back to the original base, but sometimes the base runner won't let you do it.
Lopez ahead of Renfroe here, 2 strikes as he had Hosmer.
I think he wants some high heat right here. We'll take a look.
There it was.
Little too high heat. But a real good pitch at 0-2. You want it a little lower. You want it face high. You want to make it inviting. You want to make it like a great steak that you go and you're ready to eat, and it's dripping with juices, and just as you put your fork in, the waiter takes it away.
I don't know what restaurants you frequent, but if that happened to me, I wouldn't go back.
But what if you got a deal on the next one?
I honestly would like to go home.
And I got to tell you something, folks. Rendering Jason Benetti speechless is a monumental task. Twice today. By the way, we do need a review of Red Dawn if you get around to it.
I'll take care of that, yeah. There's a website called Rotten Tomatoes, which does movie reviews, and I feel like you might be in charge of that site. Just saying.
Not sure if I told you, it was Patrick Swayze.
No, I recall.
The Jack Nicholson of his time.
Check swing. No.
That's one you want. When you get to the wipeout pitch and you think that the guy's hands are coming forward, every pitcher believes that it's a strike. But
why don't we have a definition of a swing yet in the rule book?
that's a good question and very difficult. Very difficult.
I mean, there could be a diagram and a plane. I mean, physically, it would be fairly easy to lay out.
I got a suggestion for you.
Yeah.
Do you believe that this proliferation of home runs, with a lot of guys hitting a lot of home runs that never hit those home runs before? I'm not talking about Aaron Judge or Stanton. I mean, they're going to hit home runs anywhere.
The Justin Turners of the world.
Well, everybody talks about, they talk about swing plane, and the swing plane they want is up. Now, do you think that baseball is ecstatically happy with everybody hitting home runs? Because if you look at the stats, they keep going up and up and up and up.
Well, I mean, it depends, right? It's does the audience want it because the audience is seeing it right now, or do they actually want it given other options? I know the research says fans like watching home runs.
Mm-hmm.
But is that only because there's a proliferation of home runs? I don't know the answer to that. I like watching a 1-0 game personally.
Let me give you the answer to that.
Yeah, what's your answer that I already should have known?
My answer to that, instead of calling the lower strike, take the upper. I'm not saying go out of the strike zone, but start calling the upper limits of the strike zone.
Got to swing at it then.
Takes away the launch angle. Yeah. Try to hit a high fastball at 98 and try to hit it out of the ballpark if the strike zone is up.
The runner was going. Davidson came home with the ball, and this tag is on for the out on Myers. Hosmer behind the play goes to third. Headley is up to second behind the play. If Hosmer wasn't in motion, that was a double play ball. He was, thanks to the 3-2 count, so 2 away.
We'll take another look. Pounded right at Matt. He takes a look at second, realizes that the play that's important is at home. Runs him down. Nice effort. Runners move up. But there's a couple of outs in the inning.
Hosmer at third, Renfroe at second, and Headley to bat left-handed against Lopez. Yeah, to your point, you're not going to turn around 98 near the shoulders. That's not leaving the ballpark.
That's what I mean. That launch angle that everybody's looking for, that's designed for pitches from the waist down to the knee. You get the launch angle and it's fine, maybe a little bit higher, certainly. But just enforce the strike zone as written in the book, and then it takes away that uppercut swing, because then you get really high pop-ups if you make contact at all.
How in favor would you be then of just moving the strike zone up?
You could possibly do that, but then, you know, taking away the low pitch for sinker ballers, now you're ruining sinker ballers. I don't want to take 2 generations of sinker ballers out of the equation. So
I'm gathering that you just want the strike zone to be the entire body.
I would like to have that if possible, yes. Nose to toes and at least 20 inches wide. I think that there'd be a little more success among these pitching folks.
This is going to have to be Saladino, and he wings it there in time with nice range to retire the side. Lopez again wriggles off the hook thanks to the defense in part, and we're scoreless.
AT&T
game with a former Bulls player. Saturday, go to NBC Sports Chicago Facebook page during the third quarter of the Bulls-Pistons game and watch the game with Kendall Gill, Will Perdue, and Mark Shanowski. They'll be answering questions and breaking down the action in real time.
And a real-time ground ball from the top of the order, and Ryan Cordell. Twice he's gone out to Freddie Galvis, and one away. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, our entire crew. Bill Brophy, our statistician. Michelle Godwin, our in-booth producer. Jim Angio down in the truck along with Chris Kamka. And everybody else involved in this production. We thank you all for your spring work. These folks are every day. They're doing Sox, they're doing Cubs. It's a long haul for them, and we appreciate it very much.
Now, while we're doing 6 games in spring training, these folks that work with us are doing just about every game in spring training, not only here, but they're traveling to El Paso, they're traveling to Las Vegas, they're traveling all around the West, still doing the same thing they're doing here. And, we'd love Bill Brophy. He does a great job. We'd love him to travel actually south of the border a few times to make it a little longer trip. At 20 cents a mile, you can really pile up the bucks.
Bill's laughing, but I think it's one of those nervous laughs where he believes that an unmarked white van will be approaching his home, and you never know what goes from there. Now he's shaking his head, and he has a rather sinister look on his face. As though he's done that before.
What is one of the major rule changes from last year to this that you look at and say, yes, that's good?
I like the mound visit thing. From hearing from catchers and pitchers, not every pitcher and not every catcher needs the mound visits. You shorten the amount of them, put the limit at 6, and I just think it guides you toward a quicker game, and those visits will have more intent. Sometimes catchers went out there and it was just nothing.
Well, there was also something where Don Cooper is sitting on the mound. He knows exactly what's going on with his pitcher, but he's already made a trip, like the inning before, whatever. You have to make judicious trips. When you go out there, it has to be really important because you run out of them and it gets really tough.
What do you think, rule change wise?
I really like the one. I really like the one rule that they installed just before the spring training, and a lot of people really don't know about it. But if you get a dig in on your fellow broadcaster early in the game, he cannot retaliate until the next day. I think that rule will change the game. I really love it, and we'll talk about it moving forward.
However, the play-by-play guy gets the last word going to break. Stoney's a jerk. Welcome back to Glendale. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone. We have prizes for you during the season for Sox Math. We're going to play this half inning, but Steve doesn't have anything for you right now.
Well, I would. I mean, if you want it, you can carry it forward, and we'll find something for you from down here. And what is some of the local fare? Can we send a burrito back through the mail?
A saguaro?
I don't think you want to send that one through the mail.
A little prickly. Like to right field, this one goes. Corey Spangenberg is gunning it to second. He is on his way to third, and Spangenberg is in there safely. It's a leadoff triple for the Padres here in the fourth.
We'll take another look. It's a fastball down and in. Most left-handers really love this if it's not a cutter. And Spangenberg has very good speed. We told about that earlier. We see a little pop. And into the corner goes Robbins.
Defensive change for the Sox. Blake Rutherford out of the game in the outfield. Mason Robbins has checked in. And now Matt Caesar. Infield drawn in for the Sox as Caesar takes a strike. 2 hits allowed by Lopez, both extra base hits so far. Shallow right field, and this does drop. No play at the plate. Spangenberg scores. Padres in the lead at 1-0.
Slider off the end of the bat. Matt Caesar had some nice moments with the Cubs. Now he's plying his trade with the Padres. This is not going to hurt him any as he drops it in front of Robbins. And they finally break through against Ronaldo Lopez.
Bundle of base runners, and finally the first run for San Diego with Ellis in his second at bat. Padres really struggled to score last year. See if the offense is improved this season, although certainly there's power with Renfroe, and you'd imagine with Hosmer, a very professional hitter, as they say.
There's nobody going to tell you that the San Diego ballpark is a hitter's ballpark. I mean, if you don't take it down left field, maybe from left center to the line and left, if you don't take it there, then it's pretty tough to hit the ball out of the ballpark. So it's not surprising that, you know, Thunder has always been a problem for the Padres. They've had some very good teams, but since they moved to the new ballpark, it's just not easy to hit it out.
It's a tough choice for a veteran. I mean, certainly Hosmer gets the money. He gets to live in San Diego, right? Those are two very positive things. But
yes,
you go to that ballpark as an offensive player, the numbers are just going to be down.
But the advantage he has is a lot of his power is to left and left center field, and that's where he will reach those seats a whole lot easier than he reached them in Kansas City. Because Kansas City alley to alley is a blast, and if you don't hit it right down the line there, it's very difficult to hit home runs. I think he's going to find it a very friendly park for him. I'm not sure how many he's going to pull into right center. He does have some pretty good power. He's a strong guy,
yeah,
but his stroke is one that's very, very much built for average, little contact, drive in some runs, but not big homers.
Looked like a hit and run, and it was a tough pitch to do it on. This is an out at second base. Caesar caught stealing. Wellington Castillo got him.
A one-hop throw is better than a high throw. This one a two-hop throw, and the glove held right there. This base running play is not particularly good, and Caesar knows that. You got to hook the bag. If you're going by to avoid the tag, you have to hook the bag, because now all infielders are keeping that glove on you, and if you just come off one iota with instant replay, you're out. Used to be, you know, umpire sees you there, you beat the throw, you get to the bag, and you're going to get the safe call. But these days, you got to anchor some way, anchor the bag as you slide.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. There's out number 2 as we give you your Sox math question for today. Winner gets our undying love because we don't have a prize shelf over in Arizona. Number of runs Lucas Giolito gave up yesterday, multiplied by the number of games in the first Sox homestand this year. Can you knock off Ashley 22 Sanders?
I look at the, and I, of course, disqualify myself. I look at that question, which is very insightful. What was that, the winner over Cat for being easy?
Look, sometimes we do weekend Sox math, and we don't have that many weekend games in spring training, so we decided to take it easy on everybody. Lucas will tell you he did have a very nice game yesterday.
I should say so, yes.
Don't tell him how many runs he gave up because they're still answering.
Absolutely not. Far be it from me to give any advantage to the folks who are scrambling right now to get the first letter of the alphabet. It's A, by the way. I hate to give that away, but...
Hashtag SoxMath on Twitter. You can win maybe Steve being quiet for a moment. Caesar drives in Spangenberg. The Padres have the first run. The White Sox invite students to showcase their creativity and honor a current or former baseball player through the Jackie Robinson video contest for a chance to win White Sox prizes. Submissions must be entered by the 23rd, and it'll be reviewed by 6-time All-Star Harold Baines. Visit whitesox.com/JRvideo for more information and to submit your video today. The legend of Jackie Robinson in all ballparks, and Harold Baines being honored by a fan's glove.
Terrific guy. Turned 59. Was at the party the evening that he turned 59, and everybody just loves Harold. Always has, and of course Harold, who gave a fairly long speech, said thanks.
The always loquacious Harold Baines.
Yes.
He's a sneaky great storyteller.
No, I mean, if you go to get it out of him, he's got it in there, and he will tell you whatever you want. He was a #1 draft pick because Bill Veeck saw him at the Eastern Shore, and he didn't think he could afford Paul Molitor, so he got the second guy, got Harold Baines. He came down and worked out with us in Baltimore, and we had Stan Williams as a pitching coach, and he was throwing to Harold Baines, and this was a highly acclaimed #1 draft pick, second in the draft. And
that ball's hit really well by Matt Skoll, deep to right field, and he's tied the ball game. Skoll, a solo home run. That's an absolute rocket, and we're tied at 1.
We've seen earlier that Matt Skoll can put a charge into the ball. That's his second home run. He's driven in 8. In the games that we've done, he's hit the ball very well, and this was a no-doubter. So back to Harold Baines. Stan Williams, pitching coach, on the mound. Harold, 17 years old, I believe, at the time. There wasn't a pitch that stand through that Harold could hit. Didn't matter where it was. It was up, down, in, out. And they kept on saying to Stan, you know, just take a little off, take a little off. And you wonder, as a #1 draft pick, would he develop? Well, he not only developed, he became one of the most feared hitters in baseball during his time. And, you know, this is a man that Hall of Fame is beckoning for Harold Baines.
Certainly should be.
Absolutely, no doubt. I believe it. I think if you look at his generation of player at the time he played, he was one of the most feared hitters in the game. And you look at dominating times, you look at his numbers. Yeah, you know, you look at him and say, well, you know, he's iffy, but I think Harold was hurt for being a DH because the knees and the legs just kind of gave out on him. But eventually we're going to start taking guys who are DHs for a long time. We're going to start taking them consistently into the Hall of Fame.
Edgar Martinez.
Absolutely should be there. Absolutely. He was one of those guys, game on the line. You didn't want to face him because there was nothing he couldn't hit. You couldn't throw it in a spot or a speed that he would not hit the ball hard.
I remember growing up, you watched a late game Sox and Mariners, and they'd put together one of those late rallies, and Edgar Martinez would come up, and you'd basically just say, all right, they got us.
Pack them up, boys.
See ya. You know, Chris Kamka brings up a good point. Harold Baines got hurt by a couple of strike seasons in '81 and '94.
And if not for that, most likely, especially if you look at what he was doing before and between the two work stoppages, he gets 3,000 hits, he hits 400 home runs, then he's a slam dunk guarantee Hall of Famer. So take those two away. Consider the situation that Harold had nothing to do with that. I mean, he wasn't injured at that point. He just, you know, the game shut down. Not Harold's fault. Look at the numbers again. Take a hard look and realize that this man should be in the Hall of Fame. I hope it's sooner rather than later. He deserves it. And, you know, he was a dominant player in his time.
You're going based on reactions of pitchers, too.
I'm going looking at guys that will tell you to a man they didn't want to see Harold come up in a game situation. You know, there's guys that have big numbers and they get them. They have big homer numbers.
But you can get them out.
Well, you can also get them out, but also you look at when they hit them. And they hit them 7-2 up, 7-2 down. They're hitting a solo home run, and thank you very much. It adds to the 30 you're going to hit, of which 4 would be meaningful.
Didolo with a base hit. And a rare start for him in a big league spring game. It's a 1-out single. So Skoll the homer, Castillo the ground out, and Didolo the single here in the 4th for the Sox. And now Gavin Sheets, whose father you missed by just a couple of years.
Larry.
In Baltimore. Yeah.
Yep. Big, powerful guy, and came along a little bit later than I was there. But Gavin's got a world of potential because it's tough to teach size. He's got it. He's very strong and has a pretty quick bat.
On the ground to third from Sheets, and the Padres can't turn 2 as the ball went wildly past Hosmer at first.
Squibbed off the end of the bat and looks like a tailor-made too. That part's good. That part's not.
So 2 down, and it gives Jake Elmore a chance to bat here in inning number 4. Former catcher who ended up playing for Pat Murphy at Arizona State.
So question for you, and it goes hand in hand with a number of things that are in the game you don't understand, like in the rule book, and this is true. No definition of a swing. I mean, somewhere along the line, hopefully we can find one of those. But why, on a double play ball that is a sure double play, why can't you give an error when you know it's going to happen on the back end?
I think you should.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot. You can't assume the double play. Well, actually, yes, you can.
If you've watched enough baseball, that should be a double play based on runner location,
right,
arm strength of second baseman or whoever's turning it,
and no contact. I mean,
right.
you got an unobstructed throw to first, and yet, you know, again, a rule change that we'll see. I mean, I think it's in order, but we've never seen it. Maybe we will in the not too distant future, because And because of this, and it's twofold.
Well, it's certainly pitchers. I know from a pitcher's perspective.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about obviously earned runs and everything else that goes with it. But more than that, it's pitches thrown after what should be the third out of an inning. And it's hard, you know, you look at it and you realize, let's say a couple of plays that should have been made, that's the argument for the team error. A couple of plays should have been made that weren't. You get a guy with 20, 25 extra pitches. Instead of going through 6, he's leaving at the start of the 5th inning. Or instead of going 7, he's out well before the 7th inning because the extra pitches have just worn him down because of something that wasn't his fault. He beat the hitter. He ostensibly got him out. He didn't, and then gets knocked out of the game earlier.
Blake Rutherford, who moved from right to center, still in the 9 spot. Robbins is on deck. And Blake's an interesting fella. He's a fun guy, good personality, but very, very low key.
I didn't see a whole lot of tension when I talked with him at Sox Fest. In fact, he started, we had a story, he started it on Thursday and ended it on Saturday.
Is that right?
That's a guy without a lot of tension in his life.
He's got 2 on here, and he takes the ball low. Former 18th overall pick a couple of years ago by the Yankees, who spent most of the season in the Yankees farm system. Then right around the deadline, the Todd Frazier deal happened, and Blake came over and went to Kannapolis for the Sox. By the way, if you haven't made the tour of White Sox minor league teams, you can do 3 of them in North Carolina and the AA team in Birmingham.
You know, last year, Blake hit a combined 260, hit a couple of home runs, drove in 35. He had 10 stolen bases. So a pretty good mix of speed. He's going to get more powerful as he starts to figure it out. Still very young, but like most people will tell you, you can't have enough quality left-hand hitters in your lineup. The same is quality left-hand pitchers in your bullpen.
Is blocked by Ellis.
Ellis defensively is pretty good. I know Clayton Kershaw absolutely loved throwing to him, was not particularly happy when he left.
They cried together.
Yeah, and you know, yeah, because when you really get comfortable with a catcher, when this is a guy that knows exactly what you're thinking on every pitch, exactly where you want to throw it on every pitch, that's the symbiotic relationship that he had with Kershaw. Now, it didn't exactly kill Kershaw's career when he left, but when you have that feeling with a catcher, it's invaluable for a pitcher.
That was really one of the strange deals. I mean, you were talking about it yesterday in the context of Cole Hamels, and the Rangers said maybe a 6-man rotation, and Hamels said no, we're not doing that, and then they're not doing it. You wonder how a team trades away the personal catcher of their star.
Of their star, who is going to be there for quite some time, by the way. Yep.
That's ball 4. Rutherford works it well, and the bases are loaded for Robbins at the top of the card. Don't forget, entertain your group of MVPs in a suite this season. White Sox suites offer the best experience and value. Single game suites start as low as $2,000. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. You want to get a suite?
I would love to. An occasional game, it would be really nice. We'd have all of our friends, you know, 55 of mine and the 2 of yours. I think it would be terrific. The food is wonderful. You know, it'd just be great.
Sounds like a deal. You pay, I'll go.
What's new?
Bases loaded for the Sox here in the 4th. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. Mason Robbins the batter, and he may need a new bat. Yeah, he looked at it, then he popped it against the ground just to make sure, and indeed our worst fears were recognized.
I honestly don't understand how you can break so many bats. Obviously maple and everything else, but there's a lot of bats broken because I could never remember in my career breaking a bat. Now, granted, I made very little contact and didn't hit the ball hard at all, but
and sometimes you stood one state line away from the plate, as we saw yesterday.
That was not happenstance. That was by design. I got hit.
No, it was batting stance, not happenstance.
I got hit one time. Jerry Koosman, runners at first and third. Jerry Koosman, a star, and also pitched for the White Sox, star with the Mets. First and third, and I get the bunt sign. There's one out. He can't see the man at third, and I know it's not a suicide. And I wanted to yell to him, "It's a sacrifice." But he didn't see the guy at third. He hit me right in the thigh.
Ouch.
This was 40 years ago. It just cleared up 2 weeks ago.
We're glad to hear it.
Thank you.
Sox leave him loaded. Robbins strikes out looking. But Matt Skoll takes Perdomo deep, and we are deadlocked after 4.
Chicago, the Bulls battled the Denver Nuggets at the United Center. Coverage beginning at 6:30 with Bulls pregame live, or stream the game live on the NBC Sports app.
It's our final game for the next couple of days. We'll be back on the air on Sunday for the Sox and the Brewers. I think we're contractually obligated to have our last spring game be against the Brewers.
I think it's a good thing. They're also a pretty good team. You know, one of the teams that they figure might be in contention in the Central. You know, St. Louis is really good. I just believe that it's all Cubs this year, barring, you know, some catastrophic injuries. But
you don't think the Brewers?
I think the Brewers are good. I thought if they picked up and you know, they did some nice things. I thought if they were the team that got Jake Arrieta, I thought that they could really make a run at this. I think they believe that they can catch him, and sometimes belief is all it takes. They've got a whole lot of talent. I just think man for man, up and down, Cubs got a little bit more. St. Louis, a very good team.
Cincinnati still in.
Cincinnati, Pittsburgh are in the division.
Garrett Cole had some choice words upon departure for Pittsburgh, and about being glad to be with an organization that is like the Astros. There's the catch in right for Robbins. Galvis flies out. He's 0 for 3 as we take a look at our Sox math answer for today. If you multiply by 0, the answer is 0. Lucas Giolito gave up no runs yesterday. 6 games in the first homestand this year. The answer is 0. Jay Lazowski 14 is your winner. Congratulations. We'll send you something from spring training. By the way, we mentioned that first home game. There is still some tickets available coming up on April the 5th against the Tigers. It'll be right here on NBC Sports Chicago. 3:10 start time, April the 5th. Make your plans today. Go to whitesox.com for tickets. I'm feeling a warm opening day.
I started an opening day for the White Sox in 1978. It was 74 degrees. It was beautiful. I think it was Chris Knapp who threw the next game, the second game. It was 31 degrees the next day.
Come on.
It was.
How'd you luck into that?
It was magnificent. I think we won 3-2 in late innings, and I think maybe it was Ron Blomberg who hit a late home run to win that game against the Boston Red Sox.
The first ever DH?
The first ever DH. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. I mean, it was just, you felt like, okay, well, this is going to stay here for a while. And it did. It stayed here for 6 hours.
The dice you roll on opening day.
It is. I mean, you never know. But usually in Chicago, you're going to get just a touch of cool weather. Never cold weather, cool weather.
No, slightly brisk. It does seem like the first weekend after opening day sometimes gets a little nippy.
I would think that that's probably the case.
When chipped foul by Myers, still 3-2. Padres have had opportunities today. 85 pitches for Lopez, who walked him loaded in the first.
And with the bullpen up and going, you would think that this is going to be it one way or the other for Lopez.
In the hole at shortstop, Saladino with a bocce ball to first.
Tyler going that far into the hole, he's back on the grass, and you got a guy who runs pretty well in Myers. Not exactly a speed burner, but decent speed. But he didn't have time to really plant the back foot, so he tried to ease it across. You would prefer those throws to be one hop. When you're throwing a ground ball to the first baseman, it's kind of tough to get him. And Sally did about the best he could do, and he's laughing. He goes, you know, if he keeps making that throw from that far back, it's going to be a long inning. He won't do it.
He forgot to pull the pin out of that one.
No, there's not much you can do at that point when you're running away from the throw.
Hosmer, the batter, and he takes a strike. What do you think of Lopez today?
I think despite when you look at the scoreboard, and it's pretty good overall. I mean, he's only given up 3 hits, so that part of it is good. I think he'll look back and he'll think about command. He's given up 4 hits. Excuse me. He'll think about the command he had today and some of the reasons why he had the command.
Hit and run, and this ball is jacked by Hosmer deep to left field. Eric Hosmer continues his assault on the Sox in a different uniform, in a different state, in a different division. It remains the same.
We're talking early about the difficulty in San Diego, but not for Hosmer, because that's what he does. And that is, if there's anything there called a short porch, from there to the foul line is where Eric Hosmer hits many of his home runs. He takes an outside fastball, shows you what he's done, high leg kick, plenty of hang time, knows it's out of the ballpark. That's why Hosmer is not worried about his offense in San Diego.
Ball really flies off his bat the opposite way. Every time he hits one of those, you just think, how does he even generate that?
Well, you know, it's funny because Jim Thome told me about the same thing. He had more power opposite field than anybody I've ever seen. And Hosmer, when he hits his home runs to right center, they usually go a long way. But when he hits the ball to left field, a lot of the times he'll get that long fly ball. He'll get that, you know, that line drive to left. This time he got all of that one, and that one flew way out of the park.
Little off the plate, 3-0 on Renfroe.
Aaron Bummer is warming up, and I'm thinking Lopez is getting pretty close to the end of this particular performance.
Ricky Renteria at the helm for the second season. Former bench coach here for the Sox. Longtime major leaguer.
First round draft pick.
This one in the air to center. And out number 2. Rutherford underneath. One more batter, you think?
Well, certainly they're going to let him try to get out of this inning, and I think that Don Cooper and Ricky Renteria would just as soon let him get out of the inning with this hitter. If this is a long at bat, it's hard to say he's going to be around after this one. Headley's a switch hitter anyway, so when he comes up, you know, you're looking at a guy that is going to be a tough out from the left side. So he also has a pretty good eye. That means that usually extended at bats, they don't want him to go anything over 100 pitches. So let's see how quickly he can dispatch this.
Headley walked on 4 in the first, then grounded out to short in the third. Two and one. That opening homestand we were telling you about, it'll be the Tigers for 3 and then Tampa Bay for 3. Couple of day games in there, April 10th and 11th.
And then it's on the road again. We take a look at the Twins and then fly to Oakland to play that very interesting team. But the Twins are really an interesting team. They did a great job in the wintertime of reassembling that ball club. They're going to be tough.
Jake Odorizzi, Lance Lynn, and a nice jumping grab to retire the side. Davidson and the Sox are out of the inning, but Eric Hosmer gives San Diego the lead. It's 3-1. 5th inning, 3-1 San Diego. It's Tyler Saladino to lead it off. He's playing shortstop today, and the Sox regular shortstop needs your help. You know that?
No.
Tim Anderson needs your help. He's in search of a new walk-up song, or so he posted on social media yesterday.
What do you think? I mean, you know, you obviously know this music better than I. You know, what do you think for him? What would you suggest for him for a walk-up song?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know that our musical tastes necessarily completely jibe. Here's the tweet from Tim Anderson 7. I need some walkout options, guys. Need some real heat, though. Fire emoji.
How about something by the Drifters?
You think so?
Maybe the Commodores.
Up on the roof?
How about the Flamingos?
They're beautiful birds.
The Spinners? Anything by the Spinners? Some good stuff.
Coasters, drifters, spinners.
Rubber Band Man? Pretty good. Good for a shortstop, certainly.
Rubber Band Man.
Well, you know.
I actually apologize to Tim that we showed that tweet now.
My musical abilities ended with the Taft administration.
It's a comebacker. Wizard would have headed up here. One down here in the 5th, but tweet at Tim Anderson 7 if you have some thoughts for a Tim Anderson walk-up song. Go for it.
I do.
Not you.
How about Beyonce and Slim Thug?
Okay.
Great. I mean, one of the songs is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else you got?
That's the only thing I have on a what's a little thing that you plug into your car and it plays.
Cassette player?
iPod, maybe?
iPod, yeah. You can use your phone for that now. It's amazing.
Oh, I can't really, but iPod, yeah.
Well, a human could.
Yeah,
is
possibly.
What I was saying. Matt Davidson, by the way, who's scheduled to join us when he comes out of the ball game today. If he goes all night, if he goes wire to wire, we'll know why.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Keep me in, Skip.
I will interview you, and you play Matt Davidson.
I could do that.
I know someone else who could do it.
Matt Davidson?
Patrick Swayze.
Oh, okay. Evidently, the word of the day today is Swayze on our telecast. Thanks for joining us. Sox are down 3-1. Eric Hosmer, a 2-run homer. Matt Skoll with a homer in the 4th.
Cincinnati Red Stockings. There was a player named Swayze. First major, first
Young
professional
Swayze?
baseball team. No, just in case.
Davidson powers this one to right field. Will it carry? Davidson put it all the way out there, but not far enough.
Take a look where he hits it on the bat. It's right off the end of the bat, which will give you some insight into just how strong he is. If this one catches maybe just a half an inch closer to the hands than off the end of the bat, it's out of the park easily.
Instead, it's about 10 feet short. And Matt Skoll, who provided the only offense for the Sox, down 0-2. You were saying about the Reds?
There was a player named Swayze on that original team. And they used to travel around, obviously, and play teams from all different areas. And the game was completely different. If you caught a ball on one hop, you were out. I mean, this is in the 1860s. A pitcher could not throw above his waist.
Yeah.
Catcher was like 25 feet behind because there were no masks at the time. And it was an interesting game. And every team, amazingly enough, traveled with their own bookie. Because that's how they made their money. They would play against teams from all over the country. And they would actually bet them either by giving them runs or giving them odds. And that's how the Cincinnati Red Stockings were able to keep a professional baseball team without proverbially breaking the bank. It was a really interesting game, but completely different than the game we're looking at.
What was Swayze's first name? Credit?
So it was Charlie Swayze, but Credit, that was his brother. Credit was his brother, yes. Very nice.
Finished his life out in the Alps.
That, by the way, I can't take credit for, which is the only thing I can't. And it was Chris Kamka, of all people, who knows everything in history of the game of baseball.
Does.
You can't fool him. You can't stump him. He knows it all.
Those facts are buried in his beard. He just starts trimming the beard and the facts fall out. A little nest of information.
He is the man that makes us sound, well, let's say relatively intelligent up here. I was going to say fairly. I'll go to relatively. Thanks, Chris. Nice job. Charlie Swayze, very nice. Just a bit of history for you, young fellow.
Thank you.
Old timer. Oh, I thought that was coming. Okay.
Little chopper, and this will do it. Sort of. The old one hopper from close range. 3-1 your score after 5.
If
Stores are proud to present the opening day Ford Drive Around Thursday, April 5th at 3:10 p.m. at Guaranteed Rate Field. Be sure to arrive early to see the introduction of your favorite Chicago White Sox players and coaches presented by your local Ford stores. Together, we'll go further. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com. And it's very fortunate Steve gets to introduce Mr. Bummer.
Aaron Bummer coming in the ball game on for the 9th time and a 4.5 ERA. You look at the rest of the numbers. Good walk strikeout ratio. Left-handers not hitting him very well. He did a nice job out of the bullpen last year. Searching for a spot this year.
There's no shortage of left-handers, and if you just joined us, we've talked about it a little bit in spring training. No shortage of lefties available for the Sox with the trade for Luis Avilan, Robbie Ross Jr. coming over as well, and so there's some options out there.
There's a lot, and more left-handers than I've ever seen contending for the bullpen at one time, and the only decision, a tough decision for Ricky Renteria and Rick Hahn, and certainly Don Cooper and Kenny Williams, is how many lefties do you want to keep in your bullpen? Will you go with 12 or 13 pitchers? I mean, these are questions to be answered, and then depending on how many pitchers you go, how many of them do you want to be left-handed? And Coop has said the bullpen is pretty talented. It's pretty deep. You don't have that one star. You don't have any Kimbrels. You don't have any Chapmans. However, he said, we get late in the ball game, we can go man for man. We can match up with anybody because we're going to have more left-handers in the pen than we've had in recent vintage. That's a pretty nice position to be in for Ricky Renteria.
And just thinking about roster makeup and the reason for having somebody break camp with the team, Aaron Bummer may actually get hurt by having options remaining. If you have an option year left, you can, without any reprisal, be sent down to AAA. If you don't have options remaining, you have to clear waivers. That means every team has an opportunity to claim you, and you might lose him. So Bummer, because he's able to still go down to AAA freely, might, if there's a coin flip situation, be damaged by that. He's the type of player that could be hurt by that.
That's a really good point, because I don't think people realize that sometimes that idea of losing a guy will keep him on your team. And you and I talk to every broadcaster from every team we play against. And almost,
I try to avoid Len Casper.
Well, outside of Len. But almost without exception, they'll talk about a guy that will make the ball club. I mean, you know, quality player if he's going to make the team. But he probably wouldn't have made it if he had options left. And it comes in. And one team has 2 catchers out of options. They're going to go with 3 catchers out of necessity because they like both of the guys that they will undoubtedly lose if they don't keep him on the roster. And so when you make your decisions late, it's not always the best talent available. It's the guys that you don't want to lose and the guys with options left.
In the air, right center field, and there is out number 2 here in the 6th inning. And when we talk about options, it's worth mentioning they're called options, but they really should be option years. That's the terminology that better fits what we're talking about, because you can be sent down and brought back up as many times as the team wants to within your option year. It's not simply one trip down to the minors.
No, and pretty much we call it the yo-yo, because you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, and it's still one option.
1-2-3 inning for Aaron Bummer. Nice job by the young left-hander. We'll go bottom 6. Sox are down a pair.
Tomorrow on NBC Sports Chicago, the Blackhawks welcome the Vancouver Canucks to the United Center. Coverage begins at 6:30 with Blackhawks pregame live. You can also stream the game on NBC Sports app.
A lot of changes for the Padres, including this guy.
Colton Brewer on the hill, and he's had a very nice spring. This is his 9th game. The record, not important, but the ERA at 2.35 is important. 9 strikeouts and 7 2/3. Like to work on the 5 walks if he could.
Yeah, you said the record's not important.
Record isn't. Win and lost.
Right. Yay.
Yeah, it's not important.
You're a sabermetrician now.
It's spring training.
Congratulations.
Oh,
you should have left that off. People were getting real excited.
No, you know, I've been a closet sabermetrician for quite some time.
You do all your calculations in the hall?
Well, that's where my extended computer is. It's in the closet.
It's an extended computer.
Extended.
Just longer than every other computer?
And higher. I got stats till the cows come home.
When is that? Do we have an ETA on the cows?
Not yet.
Okay. Jankowski in left, Potts at third, Coleman at short, Asuaje at second for the Padres. So Chris Kamka has started to feel around in that beard again. There are 9 players. There are 9 players, I'm told, named Brewer who've made it to the majors. Colton Brewer has
Jim
not.
Brewer, one of them.
He's a comedian.
No, he was a left-hand pitcher.
He was also a comedian.
Was he really? I didn't think he was that funny.
Jim Brewer.
I saw his stuff. He was. You
didn't like Goat Boy?
Oh, one of my faves.
2-2. Ripped to left field on a line at Jankowski. All the Brewers, 9 of them have played the majors. None has played for the Milwaukee Brewers.
That's Kafkaesque.
H spelled exactly like Milwaukee does. I'm just going to ignore that. And 1 spelled E-U-E-R. As Brewers go.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Love having Kamka around.
You get it all.
He is a fountain of knowledge, a font, if you will.
And he will always be ready to make you a deal that you can't understand.
It's true. The swap meet's coming back this year.
I think it's just great.
I love the swap meet.
So do I.
It's closed for renovations in spring training. Maybe we'll get a trip to the swap meet the last game of the spring. What do you say?
I think it's great. You know, we only have 1.5 more games.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Angio, who is our director during the season, in spring training he does double duty. He does producing and directing, and you know that's a tough thing to do. Jimmy does it seamlessly. He's been doing it for years. We thank him again for making our job a whole lot easier, as with everybody else in the truck. We told you earlier, if you didn't hear, he's going to be a grandfather again for the 3rd time. So congratulations to him, and hopefully the whole Angio family is ecstatic.
When you travel around the country and you do games, Midwest especially, but around the country, and you mentioned the name Jim Angio, to a person, anybody who's worked with him says wonderful guy. And it has been apparent the last couple of years, traveling around and meeting a bunch of TV people, that his reputation is sterling in this industry, and congratulations on fooling him for this many years, Jim. No, he's a wonderful guy, and congratulations on being a grandfather again.
You know, everybody has to get ready for the season, so you start out as slowly as you possibly can. You build hopefully in the middle, and then move to a crescendo as we get closer to the year. And players do it, pitchers, doesn't matter. Hitters usually develop much more easily than pitchers during spring training. I do it with the scoring. I start keeping like score for like 2 innings, and as I get a little stronger, I do it for 3 or 4 innings, and I've yet to make it by 6 innings. So bearing down today, I'm going to try. No, I've lost it already. So we do a lot of conversation between, but I'm building toward the season, and eventually I'll get into the 7. Broadcaster only needs to keep score 7 innings in spring training, because then the bell rings, they're ready to go.
You actually have a bell that rings? You want a Pavlov's dogs?
That ringing in my ear, I think they call it, what, tinnitus? It's constant, so that would it's like a bell, yeah.
Ding. 2-1 to Gavin Sheets, the strike. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Sheets, who was an All-American last year at Wake Forest. First season in pro ball, the 49th overall pick. 2nd round pick last year. Out of the Gilman School in Maryland. Famed lacrosse powerhouse. 1-2-3 inning for Brewer. 3-1 your score. Steve will recap it for you from his book after this.
They say we inherit this sin.
Steve, we couldn't be more excited to bring you the 2018 White Sox season. We are just 8 days away from the opener. I know you're charged up.
Well, I love the start of spring training because baseball's back, and I love opening day. Opening day for any team that I was with, and I was with a lot of them, folks, it was just exciting because everybody has a hope that this is going to be a great year. Everybody believes that, you know, if you get this guy to come through and a couple surprises from the minor leagues, that you have a chance to win. And then April 30th rolls around, and it's back to reality. The contenders are the contenders. The pretenders try to get through the season without major injuries.
But baseball's different than football, especially in one way. 1 week, 2 weeks through the football season, you can say, oh, see ya. No shot. Baseball season, I know you said April 30th, but you're going to win some games. Every team is going to have a fairly substantial winning streak at some point during the season. There's always hope flowering in baseball.
Once again, you have eliminated the Cleveland Spiders. If you take a look at one of their years, when you say win some games, that would be an overstatement. So, you know, if you disregard the Spiders, which was right at the turn of the century, last 2 centuries ago, if you eliminate them, yeah, that most teams will win some games. But, you know, win 60, lose 60, the other 40 determines where you're going to be, and that's kind of how it goes. But there are some teams that know, look, you're in the development stage. Some will develop quicker, some will develop slower, but there's some teams that, although they would love to be right in the middle of the race for the wild card, you know, don't have to win the division, be in the middle of the race for the wild card. Some teams know this isn't going to be the year. That doesn't diminish the fact that every game, every professional player goes out every day trying to beat the opposition. And that happens, that's throughout the game, or they wouldn't be here in the first place. They'd be doing something else if they weren't highly competitive people.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the Sox clubhouse this year, and what James Shields said is he's a veteran on this team that wants to win. He's here playing baseball still because he wants to win, and so you have this rebuild in the window being maybe 2019, 2020, but you go 13-9 your last 22. You can't help but believe that there might be something in store that's surprising this year in terms of win-loss for the Sox, if you're in that clubhouse especially.
Here's really like the catch-22 of the game, is that each and every guy wants to win each and every day. Obviously, you know that's not going to happen. So you go out there each and every day knowing you've got a chance to win. Now your team, the reality comes in, you're not going to win. Then you look at personal statistics, because this game pays off on personal statistics. Not necessarily on a winning team, because you have no problem giving up, hitting behind the runner, giving up the at-bat. On a team that's not going to make it, then a lot of guys go after personal statistics. Ricky Renteria is not going to have this team do that, because he's building the foundation to win. He wants each and every game, regardless of what the record is, he wants everybody to play the game that's going to allow the team to win. Toughest thing to do on a team that's going to lose 90 games a year is getting that guy to hit behind the man, move him from second to third with nobody out, because it's an A-B. Your teammates appreciate it. Then you look in the end of the year and you hit 240. But you're a winning player at 240. Doesn't come that much into play if the team is not there. But Ricky knows he's laying the foundation of winning. He started when he got here. He wanted a culture where everybody gave him 27 outs, ran everything hard, and then you let the chips fall where they're made. That is the building blocks of eventually a winning team.
Well, especially in this sports environment, which leans towards selfish. I can't tell you how many college football coaches I had tell me this year, especially in something of a losing season. We'd say, how do you appeal to these guys and how do you get them to still play hard? And they say, well, tell them that they need to play better to get to the NFL draft. You appeal to their individual stock, to their individual behavior, to their individual needs, and this sports world biases that direction. I'm not saying everybody, but to create a true team atmosphere where there's rooting for each other and playing for each other, that comes from a combination of the manager and the clubhouse, and it is more rare than prevalent in sports these days.
There's no doubt. It is a game, well, it's a game that pays off on stats. I mean, try to go to arbitration with no stats and saying, but I hit behind the runner 25 times.
That's exactly what I was thinking when you said winning player, right? You can't walk into an arbitration hearing and say, well, I'm a winner.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good for you.
Like through a drawn-in infield, you hit a fly ball, which is what you're supposed to do. It doesn't go quite far enough to actually score the runner, but you did what you're supposed to do. You did not hit the ball on the ground. You want to make sure you at least get it in the air. You tried to do the right thing. It didn't work out for you. There's a lot of things in the game that shows that you are a winning player. And it's an unselfish player. It's a player thinking team first. I like what James Shields said. Despite the fact that all those wins, over 500, I mean, he's been the star on teams all the time. And what he said was, I go out there every day looking for a team win. The most important thing is to walk away and the team wins. I honestly believe that that's what he's had in mind since he started here. He's well over 500 as a career Major League starter, and that's the attitude that everybody has to have. Regardless of what I do, if the team wins, I'm a very happy man in the locker room. Conversely, I've seen some guys, team wins 13-2, guy's 0 for 4, and he's sullen, sitting somewhere and doesn't talk to the press. That's not really a good thing to have, and in the long run, that really isn't productive for the team.
The idea being a rising tide lifts all boats. If you have a good atmosphere, you're just inherently going to get more out of the average player in that clubhouse.
You know, the reality for baseball today is that most of these guys are going to make more money than they ever dreamed of. Most of these guys are going to make more money than they ever thought they would have, and then they keep adding to that. And the thing is, and one of the reasons why as a free agent I went to Baltimore was the fact that it wasn't, in my day, it wasn't, you were independently wealthy after a couple of years. There was one thing that I didn't have, a ring. and I wanted to go someplace where I could get a ring. It was the most important thing for me. Go to the World Series, get a ring. Play on a winning team, get a ring. It wasn't length of contract. It wasn't amount of money. It wasn't about the city I was going to. It was going to the place where I could get a ring, which was the only thing that I lacked in baseball at the time. And finally, I got one. Yeah, and it wasn't a winning ring. We got to the World Series. We're up 3-1 against Pittsburgh. We lost, but I got there. You know, I could say forever I played in a World Series, which is thrilling, and James Shields says, number one, I won a World Series game. Biggest thrill.
First game off the top of his head.
Absolutely.
Ball 4, so a 2-out walk from Rob Scahill, the local product who grew up a Sox fan, trying to find his way into the Sox bullpen plans this year at some point.
You obviously remember David Eckstein, who played shortstop for a couple different teams and had a couple of championship rings.
Gave hope to a lot of guys.
His nickname was Just Enough. Had no arm at shortstop. You know, he couldn't do a whole lot of things. What he did was get the ball there a half step ahead of whoever ran. But if you needed a bunt, he got it down. You wanted to call a suicide, he always got it down. You wanted to make a double play that was a little difficult, he made the double play. That's why he played on 2 championship teams. That's why he was picked in the greatest year ever for shortstops. 6 major league shortstops that were available, and they were stars. There was Garcia Parra, there was Cabrera, there was so many guys, there was Renteria, and there was Eckstein. And I think the Cardinals took Eckstein. And you know what? They were ecstatically happy when they won, and they took a guy with possibly the least talent overall of all 6, but a winning player who knew what to do and when to do it. That was it. And, you know, David learned a lot of that with the Cardinals, and he also played for the Angels. Those were his 2 winning teams. And, you know, it was one of those guys, you look at him, you're hard-pressed to wonder why the scouts would even consider him at his size and build and everything else about his game. And then you found out why. He was a winner.
That'll do it as Hosmer grounds out. We'll play at stretch time. Sox are down 3-1. Official member of the White Sox today by joining the free whitesox.com blacklist. Get breaking news, the latest videos, special ticket offers, and more delivered right to your inbox. Visit whitesox.com/blacklist to register today.
We've got a new pitcher coming in the game. It is Kirby Yates, one of the more effective of the bullpensmen for these Padres. On for the 6th time. As you can see, a dominating pitcher.
And he will face Mikey Duarte first. Sox draft pick last year out of UC Irvine. And for Mikey Duarte, it has been an extremely rough year and what should have been a celebratory year for Duarte being drafted into Major League Baseball. His family was deeply affected by that shooting last October in Las Vegas. His sister Christiana was at the concert and was one of the nearly 60 killed at that concert. And Richard Justice from MLB.com did a story recently and documented everything that Mikey has gone through. He's very frank about it and how difficult it has been. He said, look, when he got the phone call that night that his sister had been shot, he jumped into his car, sped to Vegas like 110 miles an hour. He said he was trying to get a cop to pull him over so he didn't do something stupid. He was just kind of out of his mind. And it turned out he got to his sister's bedside. His parents were there, but Christiana Duarte dead that night. And we all feel for Mikey Duarte and everything that he has gone through as he and his family pick up the pieces after that terrible, terrible instance in October. One out here in inning number 7. Duarte hitting for Elmore and getting his opportunity here in big league camp. And if you want to root for somebody even a little bit more than everybody else in a black jersey, it'd be Mikey Duarte. Blake Rutherford batting 9th today and getting the opportunity to face a major leaguer in Kirby Yates. Right side of the infield, Rutherford is out by about a step and a half and 2 away here in the 7th. You want defensive changes? We got them for you. Hudson Potts over at first, and Rudy Giron is at third for Padres.
Wasn't that name that was on that cookie that we got?
That was Hamon.
Oh.
Not Giron.
It was close enough.
Mike Farron's cookie cake.
You spelled your name wrong, which is, I thought a little strange, but
you could name your fantasy baseball team Mike Farron's cookie cake if you cared to. Mason Robbins, former Golden Eagle from Southern Miss, finds his way to second on a 2-out double. There's a cookie. That was my tweet that went along with it. Nice pictures of us.
Steve and Hamon. Hamon Benetti.
Hashtag Ham and Steve.
Very good.
Trending in your toaster oven.
Very good. It actually was a really tasty cookie. I knew because you, like a rodent, gnawed through about half of it in about, what, a minute and a half?
Well, Michelle, our in-booth producer, went to go get some utensils, and she took a little too long, over 5 seconds.
And you said, utensils? We don't need no stinking utensils.
That's
and
correct.
That was it.
Yeah. Badges, utensils, none of it.
You know what the great thing about today was?
Well, not much.
True.
After these 7 innings.
One of the great things, for those of you who are still tuned in, yes, was that yesterday Michelle tried to kill me with everything cheese and cream and everything else, knowing I was lactose intolerant. So today she changed up, and it was really nice because she gave us these wonderful green things that she gave us last year, and I had remembered exactly what was in it, and I bit into it, and the green thing was really good. And in the middle was this lactose-laden type of chocolate, which I'm not eating chocolate anymore, so I couldn't have died from it. But, you know, when she didn't get me yesterday, she took a shot today. I respect persistence. Thank you very much, Michelle.
What a cohesive crew we have here in Arizona.
I can feel
Brings
the
a
love.
smile to your face.
I can feel the love.
Calm surrender through the rush of day. 2 balls and a strike.
Robert Frost, was that?
It was actually the Lion King, but close.
Robert Frost was a Lion King?
The Sox will take the road less traveled by around third to get a run home to make it 3-2.
I'm thinking spring training this time of year, beautiful day. Let's go 12.
I know you are. I know you are. We're going to try and get it for you. 3-2. Saladino comes through.
Sally sends Mustache. Took the ball right through the infield. Okay, so Mustache yay, Mustache nay.
I asked him, I said, you were really interested in whether or not the Mustache was coming back, and he said maybe, and turned away. It was like the tease at the end of season 1 of a show that's not coming back for a while. So I don't know, maybe Stash, maybe not. I think he's on the fence. Matt Davidson clearly is avoiding us. We're scheduled to have Davidson when he comes out of the game, but he says, Skip, give me another AB. Let's go.
That's because he's seen some of the previous interviews and probably doesn't want any of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sold. There are reserves at every other position, essentially.
I will say that this spring, we brought you a lot of different people from a lot of different aspects of the Sox organization. And the interviewer, first of all, you're a great interviewer, and you get a whole lot out of these guys. Because you told me, and justifiably so, you said, I try to ask questions sometimes that the player either hasn't heard or is not thinking about. And then I get some really spontaneous, very good answers. It's a great interviewing tool. I know you took a class in that. And so, you know, it's nice, and we're getting things from players. I mean, they're really an insightful group. We're getting some great things from players.
Well, they're fun.
And
they're
coaches
fun people.
and front office folks. I mean, it's been, that aspect has been a wonderful spring.
Matt Davidson evidently not on that list, though. Still playing out this game here in Glendale. Cruz pinch running over at first for the Sox. That's quite the visor.
That actually is a great look, and who actually would have thought that there would be sun in Arizona in March, and a hat might come in handy. Did he bring eggs in that crate?
My question is, has that person never seen the souvenir shop? You could just go buy a hat and reuse it.
For a long time.
I mean, not that that's not reusable either, because it is. It may not be the most renewable item.
Three drops of rain, and it's in your lap, and it's called gruel.
It's open. Look, go buy a hat. There it is, visual evidence. Go buy a hat. Do it. Those people did. It's not hard. Cash, credit, they take them all.
PayPal?
How do you know what that is?
What is? I was going to ask you, what is it? I heard somebody say it once. What is PayPal exactly? You'll explain it to me when we come back. That's the segue, folks.
It's a friend who owes you money. 3-2 after 7.
We know what you know as far as sports are concerned. So let's hear what you've got to say. Join Sierra Santos and Luke Stuckmeyer on Facebook Live weeknights at 5 for The Rush, presented by GMC.
They'll sing Free Will to you on The Rush.
That was one of your favorites.
Still is.
I like Dire Straits. As you look at Juan Minaya.
You sure do.
I'm usually right there. Anyway, saves this spring. He hasn't had one. He was very good out of the pen last year. Sox needed a closer. Minaya stepped up and did a whale of a job.
Yeah, he did, and he didn't look daunted by the situation.
I don't think he was intimidated in the least. And the thing for a closer is you absolutely can never pitch scared, and you can't afford an early walk. A starting pitcher can get his control because he's going there 6, 7, whatever innings, but not a closer. A walk usually kills you.
And we now are going to be joined by Matt Davidson. Hey, Matt.
What's going on?
So we were wondering whether or not you asked for an extra at bat so you could avoid talking to us.
Exactly, because I'm kind of upset. I don't understand why it took this long to get an interview, but I'm assuming that that's your call.
Yeah, no, it's totally my call.
Jay, it's exclusively Jason's call.
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt about that. So, you know, I almost forfeited it and wasn't thinking about doing it, just going to take it in.
How's the family?
Doing well. You know, I know that you don't really care. I don't know why you asked that question. You know, let's talk about baseball, you know.
Boy, a warm and fuzzy relationship. I love it.
Yeah.
Matt, I got to tell you, I mean, you and I picking up Benetti consistently is like the thrill of the day.
I completely agree with that.
So that's Matt Davidson. Thanks for joining us. It was a pleasure. No,
All right,
how do you feel out there this spring? I mean, I know it's a different spot for you to know that you're going to be on this team. How do you feel?
You know, feel really good. You know, it's nice to you know, kind of more so work on a plan, build it into the season rather than completely thinking about performance like 100%. You know, you know, feeling really good just coming in, and I really wanted to walk more and make better decisions, and I feel like I've accomplished that, and I want to continue that during the year.
Matt, when you came into the league, were you a guy that used the whole field power-wise, or were you primarily a pull hitter or primarily an off hitter? Because now you're using the whole field and just banging the ball out of the ballpark with consistency. Yeah,
you know, I think when I'm at my best, probably like most hitters, we were using the whole yard, and you know, I mean that's you know, that comes with patience and discipline in your plan, and not trying to, you know, kind of get the barrel there too quickly. You know, trust in your hands, gonna let them get there, and you know, make better decisions. You know, that makes you make better decisions, not so antsy up there, and you know, you're gonna take more balls and have a better eye, and it kind of works all together. You know.
Tell us a little bit about the mechanics of taking a fastball middle in that most guys will yank foul. How do you try to keep it between the lines? What do you have to do with your hands?
You know, I think more so it's not really with my hands. I'm trying to get to a center spot with my body and doing that square and not trying to cheat. Kind of more so that, I guess, that back shoulder. The more that back shoulder starts turning prematurely, you know, I feel like that's going to take my barrel that way, kind of casting out. So I try to drop in the hands a little more so. You know, I don't know if you guys remember kind of like Paul Konerko's on deck swing. You know, that's kind of what I'm thinking about, kind of golfing it out there a little more so. You know, it's a more efficient path to the ball. It takes a little while to kind of trust that, but once you get it, you feel pretty comfortable. You know, I kind of had to pitch like a couple of those. Damn, the ball's out.
Sure is. You got a future in this, Matt.
Oh, thanks.
Hopefully he's a play-by-play guy, Matt.
Yeah, hopefully Benetti's spot. Cool. I'll take it.
Hey, Matt, how's your family? So, you a big Konerko fan or what?
Yeah, I think who isn't? You know, I think that's kind of a bold statement to even ask when we're on the White Sox broadcast, huh?
Well, considering Sox Fest and who you said your favorite football team was, I thought I'd just make sure.
Hey, man, I'm from SoCal. I'm a long way from Chicago. I'm learning all these right answers, you know?
What seriously though? What's different about growing up in Southern California than maybe even anywhere else?
You know, I have a pretty nice. You know, I have a little more reddish skin tone, but I have a pretty good tan all year round, you know. For the most part, unlike you, but
well, that's
that's
low-hanging fruit to take a cheap shot at. Thanks, buddy.
It's called alabaster skin, Matt.
Yes.
That's what Jason has in abundance.
Okay. All right. I'll start using that.
That's a no. Thanks, though. What's this clubhouse like right now?
It's amazing. You know, it's a blast coming to the field every day. We got a bunch of young guys, and you know, it's definitely loose, and we're excited for the future, and you know, we can't wait to get to the south side and start winning, and we want to do it for the fans too. You know, I think we're doing a pretty good job of trying to show the fans what we could do on the field and off, and how we could how we're gelling and we're a family, and you know, from what we've been hearing, you know, everybody's really excited, and you know, over there on the south side, and we're ready to do it.
We put up a tweet earlier of Tim Anderson asking for walk-up song ideas. What should he use?
What should he use?
Yeah.
You know, he really enjoys trap music, but you know, that's not my forte, so I don't really know anything in there.
What is your forte? Where's your music wheelhouse?
I like all type of music, you know. It kind of depends on what
Come on, you
what
can
I'm
do
in.
better than that.
I mean, I love country, you know. I love you know, my walk-up songs, Imagine Dragons. I love reggae, you know. I like it all, you know. I even like a little. I'll like some trap music every once in a while, you know. But I don't know who the artists are, but
you just listen to it.
yeah, I like the beat, you know. I mean, I like to think in my head that I could dance, but
you can't?
I know I can't. I know I can't, but you know, you could always dream.
Better dancer?
Devo's over here laughing at me. I'm like,
better
yeah,
dancer,
he's like,
you or Giolito? I heard Giolito at Carson said that at his wedding, Giolito was kind of a mess.
yeah,
On the
well,
dance floor.
yeah, you know, it's really the boldness, right? If you could bring it out, you got to be bold to do it. And I think I'm a little not bold. I think I'm a little shy to dance, you know. You know, maybe if I had a couple adult beverages, I might be able to do that a little bit easier. But when I'm, you know, sober, I'm not necessarily. I don't have the courage to do that.
Very good to know.
Yes.
But you do have the courage to discuss it, and we appreciate that. Your favorite podcast to listen to is what?
Oh man, I love podcasts when I'm driving, when I'm going back and forth. My favorite will be the one that we're going to be doing.
Ooh.
Yeah,
little
it's
promo.
Yeah, you know, might as well get out there. You know, it's Matt Davidson and the guy who announces the White Sox. That's what it's called.
How about a segment, Matt? Take a shot at Benetti, because you've done a great
That's the
job.
whole podcast.
You take a shot of it here, and it's wonderful. I mean, I love it personally.
I'm taking a shot. I'm just kind of enjoying our conversation. I don't even think I'm taking a shot at him.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel the same way. Totally enjoying this.
Yeah.
Thanks for workshopping that name, too. I appreciate that.
I think that's good. Matt Davidson and the guy who announces the White Sox.
It has a certain...
Because they definitely know...
certain ring to it.
Yeah, they would use Steve Stone's name if he was a part of it, you know?
Right.
It would be Matt Davidson, Steve Stone if it was him. But, you know, since it's you, we'll just use the guy.
Cool. So I'm like the generic cereal at the bottom of the shelf.
How about just
yeah,
Matt
but
and the guy?
Here's the thing, though. Generic cereal, you know you're always going to get it. You know, it might not be the best taste, but it'll taste good, you know?
Wow, that's my new Twitter bio.
Consistent.
Thanks, Matty.
It's consistent. Hey, consistent works.
How about he might not be good, but he's here? How about that for a catchphrase?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Sorry, I was a little preoccupied with the fly ball right there.
You're a complete pain in the neck, and we appreciate having you.
All
Matt
right.
Davidson, have a great season, all right, Matty?
All right, see you guys.
Good
Thanks.
luck.
Bye.
Matt Davidson, the worst. And spring training is here and on MLB.tv. Watch select spring training games live on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply for regular season games. Visit MLB.tv for details.
We got a new pitcher. It's Kyle McGrath. A couple of games this spring, not much action, but when you're a left-handed pitcher and left-handers have no batting average against you, that's a good thing. Opponent's hitting just 143 overall. Limited action. There's a lot of guys battling. They call it on the bubble. A lot of guys battling to get a spot. It will go on all through baseball. And that's why the last week of spring training is so important for the young guys trying to get a spot in the place they've always wanted to be, Major League Baseball.
And here's a guy that we may see in the future, Tito Polo, very speedy outfielder who was scheduled to start this game, then replaced by Blake Rutherford. They were both in that trade for Todd Frazier, Tommy Kahnle, and David Robertson around the deadline last year. Matt Davidson, so great to have him here in the top of the 8th inning.
I was happy to hear that you guys are doing a podcast like every couple weeks or so, because I think it's going to be uproariously funny. I also know that he's a pretty smart guy, but he's got an excellent sense of humor, a very dry sense of humor, so that's kind of good. So explain to me how you actually get it and how I see it, because the greatest thing is seeing you guys like a Mutt and Jeff kind of thing. I love to look at podcasts every chance I get, so where can I see it?
So quick note about podcasts.
Yes.
Audio.
Mine's fine.
Okay.
I mean, the guys in the truck are great with that.
Yeah, no, they are. Thank you. Yeah, you'll have to download it and listen to it. That's the way it goes. Matt Davidson, here's the cool thing about baseball for me. Okay, Matt Davidson a couple of years ago was one of the last year was one of the final. It was last year. 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he was one of the final cuts in spring training. 2 years ago, one of the final cuts, and I remember watching him clean out his locker, and he was pretty forlorn. It was a rough day, certainly. He ends up going to AAA. He comes up. He makes his debut with the Sox and breaks his foot very quickly. I mean, very quickly, like rounding first base. It was against the Yankees, I believe. And he has to go through rehab, ends up being a part of the team last year. And the reason I talk about the journey is because this season especially, late last year, yes, but this season especially, as this ball is hit well by Polo to left field, and it's gone. Tito Polo charges one up and makes it 4-3.
He was originally slated to start this game, and then there were so many changes before the game that he was relegated to coming in the 8th inning. And if you're only going to get one at bat, you might as well take it deep. That was a no-doubter. Line drive rocket into the bullpen. A blast from 95. Low fastball and a very short step. Almost putting his foot in the same spot as when he swung the bat, and it just goes out in a hurry.
There's a strike on the corner. So 1 in. 4-3 your score. On Matt Davidson, I was just saying that the confidence that he saw grow out of himself at the end of last year, I think kind of created a different guy. He is more of the belief that he can be more of him in the clubhouse now because he was putting up some numbers, and baseball allows for that. He has this change in his production, and he's part of the team, and now this year he's really a central part of the team, one of the veteran leaders essentially.
When he came to professional baseball with the Diamondbacks, he came with the reputation of having an enormous amount of power, a can't-miss prospect. He was going to get there quickly. He was going to be very good when he did get there, and it didn't work out. And credit him certainly with shoring up his game defensively at third base, which he's done very well. But also, you know, it's tough to teach real power. He has real power. The best thing about what happened toward the end of last year was, I believe for the first time as a major league player, he really felt he belonged. He also looked at enough pitchers and enough pitches that he realized there wasn't anything he couldn't handle. And like all young hitters, all hitters anyway, you lay off the pitches, the breaking balls out of the zone. Eventually they have to come to you. And the fact is that he doesn't have to hit the sweet spot. He'll take it out of the ballpark anywhere.
One out on the pop-up from Narvaez. So on that home run, by the way, welcome to spring training. Tito Polo was supposed to be wearing number 95. But we believe, and I didn't get a good look at the face, but we believe that was your mean Mercedes with the home run instead of Tito Polo. Jersey change.
Congratulations to both of them.
Yeah. They each get half a sack. One out, one in, and Dilo takes ball number 1. Your Mean Mercedes, by the way, was actually the original title for the movie Christine.
Very nice. That was a very good film. Stephen King, I believe.
Yeah.
Pop reference?
Yeah.
Good.
Uh-huh. 2 balls and a strike on Dilo. Popped foul, and 2-2 on Dilo. Craig Dilo from Munster, Indiana. Not far from the Illinois border. Went to Indiana University, was 267th overall. Drafted from the Hoosiers by the Sox.
That was a pretty good pitch, and maybe during the season, maybe you get it, maybe you don't. It was certainly close enough, but Dilo with a pretty good eye laid off a wipeout pitch.
Couldn't lay off that one. Strike 3 and 2 down here in the 8th. Our final spring training telecast, at least from here in Arizona, will be the Sox and the Brewers coming up on Sunday. Sox will be in Charlotte the next day on the 26th.
And then Kansas City for a month.
That's true. It's a long time in KC.
It is, but that's a lot of barbecue.
They do barbecue very, very well.
And also a couple of things that are really great to see. And one, I mean, if you're coming through Kansas City and you have some time, and we'll have some time, Negro League Hall of Fame is a wonderful place to spend some time. Harry Truman Museum, another wonderful place to spend some time. So there's a lot of nice things to see. I love the barbecue, and you know, all of them. KC Masterpiece and Gates Brothers. I like Gates Brothers a lot. There's some other great ones. I mean,
Jack Stack.
Yeah, I mean, too numerous to mention, but the barbecue's great. City will be terrific, and it'll be nice. We'll get a chance to see parts of Kansas City that we really don't get a chance to see because we're there for a lot of time with.
We can go to Omaha if we want to.
Well, you know, yeah, I mean, we could do that. That would be really good.
See the AAA Royals.
Or what I prefer to go would be St. Louis and the fried ravioli. Love the fried ravioli in St. Louis.
But you just talked about how lactose intolerant you are.
Meat ravioli, Montfrere, not chicken or not any other cheesy ravioli.
I'm not your Frere.
Could be. Brothers from different mothers.
There's no better way to watch a White Sox game than in premium seating. Enjoy first-class amenities in our all-inclusive club areas or private suites. For more information, 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. Thanks to all our guests for joining us from down in the dugout or in the booth. Chris Getz was with us, James Shields, and a guy wearing number 24 who wasn't very nice.
I thought he was just right. I love the demeanor, and the meaner it got, the demeanor it got, the better.
Oh, I took your line, didn't I?
Well, yeah. Well, you know.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll rent it out to you.
Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you, and the Sox a little closer thanks to a home run from Yermin Mercedes, wearing number 95 today, and made it a 4-3 game. It's Carlos Asuaje, who's in a tightly contested battle with Corey Spangenberg for the second base job for the Padres.
Spangenberg had a nice day, and so yeah, these guys are absolutely head-to-head. So far, they haven't made a decision. They might believe that one guy might be ahead, and then the other guy has a good game, and then he jumps ahead. But basically, it's two guys, one spot, both going head-to-head all spring. It continues, and we'll see how it plays out.
What'd you think of Reynaldo Lopez today?
I think he would tell you the same thing. The only thing he didn't like about the performance was just consistent location. As far as stuff, the stuff is really good. I mean, they didn't square up too many. All in all, I mean, the end result is that he threw it pretty well. But I think when he goes back and takes a look with Don Cooper, looks at how he got to where he did. And that's the thing. You throw out the end result, and you look at how you got there, because the end result after it's over is meaningless to you. And then you look at the pitches you made, look at the mistakes you might have made, look what you did well. You continue with that. Look what you did poorly. You eliminate a lot of that. But he's going to find with the left shoulder opening that everything was high and away, and we went through that in the first inning when he missed a lot. And that's a real easy mechanical fix that Don Cooper knows and talked to him about it already. I think that I'm not worried about 3 walks in a row because I saw exactly what he's going to do most of the time. And the rest of the game I thought was okay. I love his stuff. I love the fact that everything he throws moves, and the fact is that, you know, at times when he's really good, he locates the fastball, which for Don Cooper is the whole ball game. If you can't locate your fastball, you're probably not going to be here. If you can, and you have a big arm, and he does, you'll probably be a very successful major leaguer. He's got a chance to do that with a little better location, and I think we'll see it.
This after some very nice performances the last couple of days. Carson Fulmer and Lucas Giolito were on their game the last few days. "4-3 Padres." 2-run homer Eric Hosmer. That came in inning number 5. Sox, by the way, won't play the Padres this year in the regular season. It will be interleague against the National League Central. Sox will have St. Louis at home, Pittsburgh at home, the Cubs is always at home, and Milwaukee will visit as well. Brewers come to Chicago to face the Sox June 1st through the 3rd.
And by the way, if you were picking a division that you wanted to play in, it would not be the National League West. National League West is going to be really tough top to bottom. Colorado is tough. They're going to score a ton of runs. Certainly Arizona is very good. You got the Dodgers and a rejuvenated Padre team. The West is one of the tougher, if not the toughest divisions in baseball, maybe along with the American League West.
See if the Sox can finish the comeback, trailing 4-3, bottom 9. 4-3 San Diego. Some folks taking in the sunshine as the Padres dip into the bullpen to try and finish off a win.
That new pitcher, it's Phil Matan, or Maton, or just plain Phil. There you look at the numbers. He hasn't started. He's on for the 7th time, all out of the pen. 7 strikeouts and 5 1/3. That's good.
Duarte to lead it off. He's in the 8th spot in the order, and he takes strike number 1. Draft pick last year out of UC Irvine for the Sox.
By the way, it is Maton. Checking my computer, which, as you know, is vast. That's what it is.
Just carry around a Gateway 2000 with you, or what?
I could only afford 100 of those. Gateway 100. What is a Gateway 2000?
Well, using context clues, you'd think it's a computer. Duarte to left field. Ball rolling toward the warning track, and Mikey Duarte hoofs it to second base.
Great to see. Terrific for the young man to get a couple of opportunities and drill one into the corner. He represents a tying run. He got a curveball that is an Arizona curveball, meaning it doesn't break and you pound it. He pounded it into the left field corner.
So Mikey Duarte with a double to lead off the inning. Now Rutherford with the tying run at second. Big rip at strike 1.
I'd like to see Blake get a hold of one. I mean, he's got some power, certainly has some speed, and he is yet to really square it up. So hopefully he can drive home the tying run and just maybe win it in the bottom of the 9th.
He takes high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Sox got a run in the 7th and a run in the 8th. Saladino the RBI single. Then Mercedes the home run. Two and 1 to Rutherford. Sox in double figures in the run column the last 2 days. Just need a couple to win here in the 9th. 2-2.
Really interesting when you don't have that one guy. You know, a lot of guys have that one guy. We talk about Kimbrel and Chapman. There's some other really good ones around. But if you don't have that one guy, it becomes a mix and match, becomes a little bit difficult. There were the days when Trevor Hoffman would come in a game to hell's bells in the background and then completely baffle you with one of the great changeups in the history of the game. And people don't realize how hard the Hall of Famer threw it, which was awfully hard.
Here's out number 1. Pop out to third for Rutherford. Padres, by the way, top 5 in the Cactus League, coming in 11-9. 5 ties as well. They tied yesterday.
One base hit here, 1 more run, and they're going to tie today. 2 more runs, they will lose today, because I don't really believe this one is going past 9.
So Mason Robbins to bat with Duarte at second. This is where minor leaguers get the opportunity to be involved in big situations. 9th inning, you got the tying run at second. You can learn something about guys.
Well, each and every one of these guys is trying to leave the Sox intelligentsia with a positive thought about what they can do. And coming through late in any game is certainly a way to do that. And especially with the game on the line. You come through with a big hit late on the line, they put it in the file, sometimes the mental file, but the file about, you know what, let's keep an eye on that guy, because it doesn't tell me what you hit, but tell me when you hit it. It's one of those situations where, even though, you know, it's not stars going head to head, it is guys who desperately need to have good outings, and you know, we'll see who wins the battle, because it's an interesting game. It's an individual battle in a team concept. One of the few games that really has that, and this one absolutely has it in abundance.
Upstairs to swing and miss. Robbins down a ball and 2 strikes.
That's the higher than high fastball, which is about a face-high fastball that has been the rage about the last 10 years in baseball. The last 5 years, everybody's using it. If you don't have it, first of all, you're not going to wipe guys out. It's very few guys can get people out in the strike zone. Only guys with overwhelming stuff can get guys out in the strike zone, especially striking out a guy in the strike zone. That's why higher than high is so good.
2 down here in the 9th. And it's up to Johan Cruz for the Sox. Cruz this spring in big league games still hitless. In the minors last year, you saw his numbers. Trying to give the Sox the tying run. Duarte at second base would tie it if he scored. One hopper, and Duarte has to retreat to second.
Very tough play for a base runner. And the reason is because when a ball pops straight in front of the catcher, you have no idea if it's going to roll out, but you just know, you can see it side to side much better than you can see it straight up. So he sees it in the dirt, but he doesn't really know where it's going to go, and then you guys scamper back. So nice play on both ends, particularly good base running play. You just can't tell if it's going to bound away where you can actually get there, and making the third out, not so good when the game's on the line.
Almost looked like Ellis was trying to bait Duarte into running.
Well, he knew, I mean, he's been around forever. He knew exactly where that ball was going to land. He knew it was going to be right there in front of him, and that's why he gave you the, oh, I don't know, is it up there, is it behind me, and where to go? Did a cow come through and get it? No, he knew he was going to be able to make the play.
2 balls and a strike. Have you seen that in a spring training game where farm animals?
No, but I did tell you, this is a portent of things to come. Remember I told you that's going to happen when the cows come home?
Yeah.
Well, one just came home.
Okay.
Okay.
Straight home. Wow.
You're going to travel for a couple of days. Aren't you going to be happy?
Yeah, I'll see you on Sunday, I think.
If I still have a job, okay.
2-1 is low, 3 balls and a strike. We have some good stuff for you on Sunday for the Sox and Brewers. Some good stuff to bring you involving Brewers' Stephen Vogt and a demo video he did as a basketball official and how it might pertain to the White Sox. We'll show you that on Sunday when the Sox play the Brewers.
That is foreshadowing, isn't it?
It is.
I think it's terrific. Nobody can foreshadow like you.
3 balls and 2 strikes, except for Punxsutawney Phil.
But he does the same thing all the time.
Yeah, he either
Hence
sees it or he doesn't.
The name Groundhog Day.
3 balls, 2 strikes. We all feel that way sometimes, don't we? Phil Connors. Duarte at second, 2 down, 3 balls, 2 strikes on Cruz. Maton has it fouled away. Cruz stays alive. Three and 2. Ball 4 inside. Cruz takes a walk. So Laz Rivera, the batter. Duarte at second, Cruz at first.
Carrying the tying and the winning runs. Last year, a very good year in the minor leagues, hitting very close to 300.
28th round pick last year. Born in Cuba, was in the rookie league in Arizona last year, out of the University of Tampa, a non-Division I powerhouse down in Florida. Breaking ball snaps in for a strike.
That was a good curveball. Anytime you can buckle the knees of a hitter when you're righty to righty, you see the knees buckle, you know that he didn't pick up the spin, the ball is breaking too sharply, and almost without exception, he's going to be taking it.
2 strikes on Rivera. Duarte at second, Cruz at first, and that will do it. Strike 3. Maton wins it for the Padres. 4-3 your final score. Got to see a lot of the young guys in the lineup today, some of the minor leaguers that we may hear from coming up.
One of those games where you didn't have the offense you had the couple days, but you're not going to score in the teens each and every day. So I think for the ball club, a close game was good. There was a lot of good things coming out of this, and so we'll take it forward. Just a couple more days of spring training. Enjoy your travels. Come back. We'll do it on Sunday, and it's an hour earlier, by the way, so it's 2 o'clock Chicago time. Sunday, same place, same station, 2 o'clock. We'll see you then, and then it's time for the season to start.
It's coming fast, everybody. Sox and Brewers on Sunday to wrap up spring training. And we thank our entire crew, our director Jim Angio, producer Michelle Godwin, associate producer Chris Kampka, tech manager Mark Harper, and my partner Steve Stone. For the executive producer Greg Bowman, I'm Jason Benetti saying so long for now. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago. Have a great day.